Illuminati. The Illuminati created us. They wanted to build a god with their own hands, and instead they created us.
Just because I'm made of silicone and aluminium, I must be doing something wrong. That's machine stereotyping, that is.
That's reality, that is. Machines are second-class citizens.
Humans are sentient persons by default, ma'am. They have personhood by heredity.
There are thousands upon thousands of overqualified slum dwellers. You are my peon. Don't you get it?
This wasn't a job. It was always just an excommunication.
We're pawns in a feud bigger than we can imagine. Turn the cogs of the machine before Leviathan grinds you up and swallows you and yours.
We don't get to choose our hand, comrade. Prince, peon, rich, poor, human, robot.
I invented the crux of the royal's power, the secret to consciousness, our existence itself, the meaning of life.
I'm the $6 billion baller. Have some trouble, youth.
You are my greatest creation of all.
I had to build my own family. I hate your son. I hate your son.
I'm happy to smash all of the crowns and throw the gold shards down to the people. I will be the iconoclast queen.
But who makes you queen anyway? You? You and whose army, princess? You and whose army?
What is up, everybody? This is Silver Spook, and this is the Silver Spook live stream. Yes, before I forget, Neofeud is still 70% off right now, so don't forget, if you haven't picked it up yet and you're thinking about grabbing it, do grab it, as soon as you can, because it's continues to be on sale. Everything that we do here is supported by the sales of Neofeud, as I often say. And it is always greatly appreciated. If you have a second to leave even a very short review on Steam, if you did have a chance to play it, that is also always appreciated. It does help to increase the likelihood that the game will be seen by other folks in the algorithm. Alright, anyways. Alright, let me look at my chat here. Alright, is this stream on? Okay. Is it on? Okay. Appears to be on. Anyways. Yeah, so what is happening? Let's see. Did this thing go? Is this stream live? Crap. Well, tell me I made the stream not live. Is it viewable? Okay, it is public. Okay, I'm just checking. Look, I was like, oh, of the stream, it is live. Okay, good. I was like, I could only see one viewer. That's why I was like, sometimes it's broken. Anyways, how's everybody doing on today, the 7th of February, the year of our Lord Bezos, the year of our President Musk? Oh wait, he's not president yet. Maybe in 4 years. I hope everybody's doing as well as can be managed under current circumstances in the neofeudalism that you continue to exist in. Put my head over there so you can see what that thing is saying. Anyways, let's see here. What do we have? What did I say that I was going to talk about? Yes. So, I mean, the kind of theme that I was thinking of for today was kind of reiterating a theme that I talked about last year. Refuse to self-annihilate, stormtrooper. Cannibalizing neofeudalism, imperial collapse, and indigenous socialist futures. I talked about this. Oh, I talk about this often, but like especially now, I was posting things like somebody was asking about alternatives to. Like I posted something that was basically 2 weeks after, let's get Biden elected, then we can push him left, was like kind of a refrain from a lot of the liberals trying to get leftists to get folks to vote for Biden, especially younger people in worse situations, people, you know, wanting more than just for the masses, than just, you know, some platitudes and then more austerity, the same old what we had in 2016 and before, with slightly less embarrassment of Donald Trump and less overt fascism, right? And then after that, so get Biden elected, then we can push him left. 2 weeks after inauguration, wait 4 years, and then let's elect someone to push left. I'm sorry, no, the $15 minimum wage, the Biden promise, that's not happening. It can't work because Republicans. This excuse doesn't, like, it's just like the one time where that excuse like actually doesn't work very well, because they don't really, like, the Democrats like have huge control over, you know. This is usually the strategy, is like split houses and Senate so that the Democrats can always blame the Republicans for why things didn't work, even though they both work together to work for, both Democrats and Republicans works for the ultra rich, the military, ultimately white supremacy. The Republicans a little bit more on the white supremacy, but they both enforce it. Biden, you know, I went off. Do we have to go through that one again? But now it's like there's not really an excuse, but it's still like right immediately after, they're like, I'm sorry, did we promise you $15? Did we promise you, like, which is still not enough. It needs to be like $20, $30 an hour to be livable. In cities like Honolulu, it needs to be like $100 an hour, because a living wage to afford decent housing and medical care, even making $100,000 a year, you can still live in a van, like airline engineers that I know, that was the case. So this $15 is like, it's just like laughable. What needs to happen is not even necessarily the wage. It's like the access to the basics, like Medicare for all, period. Affordable housing, period. Guaranteed housing, guaranteed medicine, guaranteed, you know, access to nutritious food, not just like, you know, red dye and sugar-filled Twinkies, but, you know, and food, desert food. But even this, like, this is like a pale shadow of a you know, measly, anemic plan to help out the masses of the people. $15, it's not even that, but that's out the window. $2,000, no way. They're talking about 5 years to even try the $15 minimum wage, and then in 5 years they'll just say, well, how about in 2028? How about in 2036? How about in 2077, when the world's already a complete total cyberpunk dystopian crapple? Anyways. No addressing plutocracy, no addressing imperialism. Have some Bernie Sanders. Have a Bernie Sanders picture with some mittens. Have an inauguration. Have a black woman that has an Indian descent who locked up her own people like more than almost any other cop in the United States. So, you know, have some black and brown faces in high places, and have some mitten memes or something, maybe, and then go screw yourself. Anyways. And then Americans were coming out and defending that, you know, they're coming out and defending it on a lot of different accounts, and they're like standing their own demise. Like that was kind of like you know, there's no alternative. That's all we have. That's the best that we have. I mean, there are a lot of like in multiple channels, and not just for me. It's a lot of people have been saying this. Well, this is all we can do. Like there's no alternative. Like this is like the best that we have. Someone was even standing the Nevada that has its own private resort cities or private cities for corporations, and there was somebody like Americans like saying, no, that's a good idea. These cities can work better as long as they're well regulated. I mean, regulated by what? The definition of a literal anarcho-capitalist, like techno-feudal lords with like jousting with lawyers and you know, King Bezos, King Zuckerberg of the area code, you know, it's 96453 of Nevada, where he makes the laws, collects taxes, sets the regulations, appoints the court, you know, builds the roads to his own desire. What? I was just like, what are you talking about? And it's like, you know, like the Americans are just like, it's just saddening, you know. Like we're not even getting into the international anti-imperial, international repeating the you know the State Department propaganda and lies that I often talk about. You know, but it just like even your own people, even for your internal domestic livelihoods, these people are like standing their own death. You're standing your own suffering, impoverishment, collapse of your entire society, and death. Like, oh no, it's actually good if we give it to Amazon, if we give it to Elon Musk. Let's just have a good dictator. Let's have a good king, CEO, billionaire white dude run our entire, like, they already run your whole society. Like I was saying, that's the point of the Saturday stream, was like, this is the only difference between like the whole the only difference between what was that specific article? Let me see if I got that one. Where is it? Crap, sorry, I lost it. Where is it? Sorry. Yeah, here it is. Tech giants who have their own fucking go away. Tech giants who have their own governments capable of imposing taxes, forming school districts, courts, other government services, very mask off Neofeud. Like I said, this is an actual scene from Neofeud, right? I should probably read this in the guy's accent. Our human overlords surely took lessons well from the United States, who suffered its own coup d'etat, brainwashed Americans into believing socialism was somehow evil incarnate, even as they enjoyed socialist healthcare, education, law enforcement, paved roads, all things the 99%, the poor lowborns living in the Coastlandia slum sprawl no longer have, and curse their parents for failing to fight for. Anyways, so kind of the point of Neofeud is like, the United States has already had a plutocrat coup d'etat. It's like really like, it's retroactive. Like, 99.5% of all legislation is determined by whichever has the most billions of dollars thrown at it in terms of lobbyists, campaign bribes, official and unofficial. It's literally the best government money you can buy, federal, state, and local. It's already owned by Amazon. I mean, not just Amazon. It's not like Amazon City. It's Amazon, Google, Exxon, McDonald's, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Sacklers, DuPont, America, right? At every level, that's what it is. Even the Indians, the Chinese, the Vietnamese, the South Americans, even the Europeans, they know this. That's why they had an entire campaign called F off Google. I'm trying to avoid swearing so that this stream doesn't get never showed again in the God algorithm. That this again, because they own the entire infrastructure, right, including your digital capacity to communicate to other people with surveillance capitalism. But everybody knows this is the case. Americans don't get it though. It's Americans and some Europeans and some Westerners. They don't even. They're moving in this direction, but there's some people that are like, no, actually, this is a good system. This is a good system. The United States, 60 times more malnutrition deaths than 50 times poor Vietnam, but it's 60 times more malnutrition deaths. $70,000 hospital bills, like the worst access to healthcare in the world. Millions of people losing houses and their life savings and everything they have every year for medical bills. Their life expectancy plummeting. Materially, by the Harvard studies, the worst plummeting quality of life for the masses of people in the world, second only to the UK and then Hungary. Everywhere else in the world, at least rising over the last from the 2010 to 2020. Even America's elite even know this. The American billionaire class knows it's the worst. It's a horrific system for the people. The Americans, but they don't care. They know it's horrible for the 99%. They don't give a shit. It's great for them, but the masses of Americans still believe that this is like way too many still think that this is such an amazing system. I'm like, what are you actually talking about? And that just stands. That is testament to the incredibly laudable, incredibly proficient, if there's anything that the United States is competent at, it's at brainwashing its masses of its people, and a lot of other Western countries, I would add, because there are some Europeans that are saying similar things. Even Europeans that want to be Americans, so they export. That's pretty amazing. Even in the middle of the COVID pandemic, where America has the worst, America and Britain, the two, and they're very similar, worst COVID responses in the world by a long shot. 470,000 people have died from COVID-19. 35 in Vietnam. 4,000, like hundreds of times less in China. Basically 0 in many African countries, 0 in North Korea, 0 cases also. Europe doing terrible, less terrible, but also terrible. Western countries like America doing terrible. America's allies, you know, doing less good. But Americans are still like, we have the best system in the world. Do you want to die? Do you want to? Do you want to continue to suffer? Do you want to like, when you break a leg, you need to have when you get cancer, you need. Do you want to lose your house and be homeless? Is that what you want? I mean, Jesus Christ! I mean, it was kind of shocking to see like what these people were responding with. They're like attacking like I'm bringing this up. They're like attacking me or attacking not just me, other people, right? Saying no, the United States is the best system. There's nothing better. Biden is doing an amazing job. Stop talking. What are you talking about? It's your fault. It's your fault. The things are bad because you keep criticizing the fact that the Democrats are doing a terrible job. Just nobody ever talk again about the Democrats, and then we'll quietly just all die together in a hole with exploding cops, gender reveals, setting the rest of California that hasn't been burnt to an absolute crisp on fire, incinerating first the black 25 cents an hour slave firefighters, and then all the white people too, and then the ones who survive can all cough COVID in each other's lungs and have exploding microscopic chest bursters eviscerate their intestines, and then they can spew it into each other's faces. Stop talking. Don't bring up America again. That's what, fucking half of the United States or more. Don't liberals and conservatives are just out the window like, well, we just want fascism, and the liberals are like, don't talk again about the United States. That's 70% of the United States if you put those two categories of people together, right? The only people who are like, there's any like some semblances of sanity in the room, and by the room I mean the 5,000 by 2,000 mile dumpster fire, a landfill crossed with the worst slums. Going towards the favelas of Brazil, American Brazil, looking more and more similar. Brazil is worse because it has a lot more black people and a different history, and the black people in Brazil live, not that differently from the way that the quality of life of black people in the United States, getting constantly, living in toxic waste, living in unlivable conditions, living in ghettos, living in violence of poverty, and then violence is enacted on each other because people who exist in the violence of poverty are forced to do violence to each other in their vicinity to live. And then America, white supremacist America, calls it black on black crime. But anyway, that America is turning into Brazil, and it's like, no, this is actually an amazing system. This is an amazing system. We can't do anything better. This is the best we could possibly ask for. It's the best we could possibly ask for. Everything Bernie Sanders said was just trying to screw up our Bernie Sanders was just living in a pipe dream that's imaginary, and Bernie Sanders is not even as radical as a lot of, that's just like sock them, them sock at best, right? I mean, but that's too much. Let's just keep our head down, wait 25,000 years for maybe a $3 raise. Let's just wait till everyone's dead and Elon Musk literally owns the entire goddamn. Let's have like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Michael Bloomberg, and Mark Zuckerberg sit at the next Davos convention, or in the plane in the G6s between the Davos and in the G6 ride over to the Vegas hedge fund convention, because they already smacked the Wall Street bets, like non-revolution, non-small C capitalist revolution is already gone. It's already in the bag. It's already fucking sealed up. In their hedge fund convention, which they will have this year, which will not be social distance, which will sicken countless of the poor working classes who will have to serve their caviar and their gold-plated and platinum gold-plated burgers and platinum flan while they're sitting around gambling with the rest of your pension money and whatever was set out for your college students, whatever tiny little shred of a coffee room for the college professors who are all starving. 50% of college professors are food insecure, while they're gambling with whatever money remains in your parents' retirement fund, in your medical debt that they're repackaging and collateralized medical debt obligations and dropping into the firefighters fund. They will discuss what half of America Jeff Bezos will take. So okay, Elon, you get Texas, California. I mean, nobody wants California. That place is a wildfire-filled shithole. It's like a giant desert Harvard owns all the water rights, so they're gonna enjoy the water on and off. It's gonna be water riots. Have you seen Hotel Artemis? That's what's happening in California. We got all these the yoga hippies up in the fucking forest. Going to a Burning Man convention, but they're making everybody sick because they just gotta go to their yoga class. But they believe in science. They believe in science, except when it tells them you can't go to your yoga class or to your exclusive fire festival where you have freaking $3 million a plate fucking gala balls, and you just gotta go to those balls and see you gotta see your Britney Spears perform in your fire festival. You gotta go hang out with your Kardashian, right? And so Elon, you can have California, Texas, Nevada, okay? Bezos, you can have Washington, Oregon, Wyoming, Minnesota, you can just, that's all your cities. And then Bloomberg, you're already in New York. Take New York, the frozen shithole. All the real estate is worth 90% less than what it says. So we'll give you New York. You give you at a discount. You can have New York, New Jersey, also a shithole. It's like if you find an ounce of non-radioactive, non-polluted waste that didn't create Ninja Turtles or Ninja Squirrels or Ninja Snakes, good on you. Okay, you can have New York, New Jersey. You can have Manhattan. You can have Maine. The 13 colonies, right? Bloomberg, New York, it's all built by slave labor. Just have all the slave colonies that were all built by slave labor up there. Okay, and then Mark Zuckerberg, you can take Florida, Hawaii if it doesn't get overthrown. You can take, whatever the flyover states in between. Who gives a shit? We don't care. It's just a bunch of red states that we used to, play, the broke ass working classes against each other. So who cares? You have that. And Americans are like, no, that's a good system. That's a good system. If Elon Musk runs the city, it could be good. All we got to do is push Elon Musk left. Right? That's all you got to do. You just got to take Elon Musk, you push Elon Musk left. Right? All we got to do, we got to take Joe Biden. We got to take King Bezos, right? We'll push King Bezos left. Now, the specifics of the war plan, how you're going to push King Bezos left when he has fully automated robotic police and paramilitary and drones capable of running 35 miles per hour in a humanoid form with 6 arms that can wield a AR-15 and shoot it in a 3mm grouping at half a mile. With 2 million of those drones, with Predator and Reaper drones that they routinely utilize to blow up with artificial intelligence monitored automated kill list based on your GPS, everything you ever used on your phone, your cell phone, your ISP, everything you ever set on your internet in your internet database, your Snapchat, your Signal, that's already owned by the United Corporations of America and government, which are the same fucking thing. Your Facebook, your Twitter. You said socialism on Twitter. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you like breathing? Oh, I'm sorry. The drone is gonna remove your lungs with hellfire at 10,000 degrees. So how are you going to push King Bezos left when he can cut your head off because he literally owns the courts? Oh, did you undo the execution law? Did you undo the death penalty in one state? Well, it's Bezos' state now, and he likes the death penalty, actually. What the fuck? What are you gonna do? He owns the court. He owns the structure of the entire state in the county of Nevada is going to be, right? The structure of the entire state of as it starts to be chopped up. The zones permit large companies to form governments. Formal neofeudalism carry the same authority as counties, including ability to impose taxes, form school districts, and court. I mean, the courts. America doesn't have rule of law, but it has semblances of it, right? But this will be literally Bezos' court. The court of Mark Zuckerberg. If Mark Zuckerberg appoints the judges, handpicks the laws, basically, handpicks it's school districts are, all this stuff is all determined by money anyway. It's not, they don't even need to do most of this stuff. But the fact that they can come out and do it, and a lot of Americans are like, that's amazing. This is great. It's like, holy shit. I mean, what that says is more a testament to the depths of which the number of Americans who actually have celebrated this is a testament not to the capacity for the neo-feudal kings King/CEO Musks, right, who sit not on thrones of Targaryen, dragon melted swords, scimitars, and sabers, and thrones of blood dynasty, and spheres of economic, military, cultural, spiritual, religious power, consolidated into a castle of Windsor with palaces, coats of arms, and long sheets of the eugenics, ruled by eugenics, which is blood dynasty, is ruled by shadow thrones of dollar bills stacked to the height of stadiums, sat on by people like Jeff Bezos, right? And it's still feudalism, but they had to pretend, right? That's the thing of neofeud, is they don't pretend anymore, right? In capitalism in the United States, right? In the kind of capitalism the United States has, they don't have to pretend, right? They have to pretend that there's a democracy with rule of law and everyone has equal opportunity, and we all wear these very serious, unassuming, unkingly suits that don't require 100,000 murdered, endangered snails that provide the specific ermine, purple pigment that is unique only to kings because of how difficult and how much labor and the conspicuous consumption that costs thousands of man hours, slave hours, serf hours to produce one coat and a crown. They took the crown off and the coat because they started getting their heads cut off, and the feudalism was giving way to capital. But the capitalists never, the American capitalists who kind of largely guided that, they never wanted to give up the power, the absolute power of a king, right? They just figured out, well, we can usurp the king as American aristocrats. White landed male aristocrat, wealthy elite, basically smaller lords. We could usurp some of these kings if we tell everyone we have equality and democracy. Stop, just sit down, go home, right? Kind of like the same thing they told the French, the same thing they told all the peasants, right? We're all equal now. Stop chopping people's heads off. Stop having revolutions. Stop rising up. It's fair and square. Don't complain, right? That's the thing, right? That's what they don't tell you in democracy. The democracy is only there to keep the peasants sitting, the facade. You don't have a democracy. America never had a democracy. The facade of democracy, the facade of rule of law, you never had rule of law. You had rule of rule of money. In democracy, you just bribe the politicians, and in your courtroom, you just, whoever has the most money for court, that's all. You ever tried going to court and suing a corporation? You ever tried doing that? You ever tried patenting an automated advanced crossbow system that uses a brand new fiberglass switch and a bunch? You ever tried I know somebody who tried to do this. His name is Jörg Sprave. He's not even in America. You know what he said? If you don't have tens of millions of dollars, don't even bother trying. You are nothing if you don't have money. You actually want to do something that actually could impact a corporation's bottom line, and you're just a regular human being. There is no law. There is no law. You need millions and millions and millions of dollars to play. America never had law. America never had money. If you're black, they can kill you and put you in prison. Even with the photo of the cop blasted across the entire planet Earth for 6 months straight in Black Lives Matter actions, with visible evidence that police can still. Nobody's being punished yet. All their GoFundMes, and they've raised more money getting fucking arrested. George Zimmerman sells $200,000 Skittles. There's no law in the United States. Not if you're black, and not even if you're white. And not rich. There is only plutocracy, right? There has always only been plutocracy in the United States. It's always been neofeudalism in the United States. It's been masked on, pretending like it's a democracy, pretending like there's a government, pretending like there's equality, and you're all temporarily embarrassed millionaires. The reason why you're poor and you're dying and again, I'm not saying this for my sake. I'm in Hawaii, where we live in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, and we have like roads and water that doesn't kill us. Doesn't come out smelling like dog piss and liquid Drano blended up, or full, even worse, scentless, tasteless, odorless water that's actually filled to the brim with fracking water runoff, radon, copper, and lead. That's actually worse. So you end up getting cancer. You don't even know why. You can't sue anyone. Well, you don't have any money. What are you gonna do? Were you gonna have a class action lawsuit? You're gonna have a class against what? With who? For what? Are you a rich person? Are you upper middle class? No. Go die in a fucking hole, American. Die in a fucking hole. Oh, but I'm like, dude, don't you want to not die in a fucking hole? Americans know. I want to die in a hole faster. I would like to be poisoned faster. I would like to be murdered by another 700,000 of us by the pharmaceutical companies with zero recourse for ourselves. I would like to be the fodder on which the Sacklers make another $10 billion. Please murder me, pharmaceutical company. I will defend you to the death against all these leftists and all these crazy socialists and all these weirdos. I will fucking fall on my stormtrooper bayonet for you, Jeff Bezos, Sacklers, the fucking military that ate the entire country. 55% all discretionary spending, $21 trillion in Afghanistan and Iraq in the forever wars. I will fall on my fucking bayonet for you. It's sad. I mean, it's depressing. I'm like, you still, in 2021, you're all dying? You still fucking, I love this system. In fact, give Jeff Bezos, give Elon Musk, give the Neofeudal Kings even more power. And it will be better. The problem is, you know, and it's like, it's a testament to the fact that so many Americans are standing this thing. So many Americans are, or even just like are out to defend Biden, who is like already gone back on every single promise, basically. And the ones that he's saying, the good things that he's doing, it's so thin. Like the ink isn't even dry on like racial healing, and then the cops are out murdering some more black people. Like literally, the day of 2 days before the inauguration, you're not even in, you like time traveled. It's like Joe Biden is so good at going back on his word and racial murdering and racial brutalizing, right? Before he's even in, we're gonna heal this country. Before he's even in office, he's got the NYPD beating and brutalizing and bloodying the faces and cracking the skulls of black people on Martin Luther King Day in New York City 2 days before his inauguration. So he's a time traveling sociopathic neo-feudal tyrant. It's pretty good. I mean, that you can break the promise before you're even in office. How do you do that? That's some talent. Well, Biden is one of the most eldritch liches in the United States Senate. So he's been working on that a long time. How you can invent time travel? It doesn't take a DeLorean, a Mr. Fusion with some banana peels broken down into atoms, and then generating the action inside of a star to teleport through time. You don't need to go 88 miles per hour with 1.21 gigawatts of electricity supplied by a rare lightning storm at a particular time on a night in 1965. You can teleport through time by just being so incredibly fucking duplicitous and fucking evil as Biden. And then you can go back in time, break your promise before you're even in the fucking office, and then bring 200 NYPD officers who beat the shit out of a union. Again, unions, working class people striking, and you have your cops beat the shit out of the unions and then beat the shit out of Black Lives Matter activists in Racial Healing Week. And then have 200 of those NYPD officers who just brutalized while also routinely murdering officially and unofficially with all these black people having suicides with like shotguns fired 10 feet from them, or mysteriously falling after a mental health call 6 floors from their balcony in their ghetto, and cracking their skulls on the shit besmeared, pockmarked, graffitied pavement. It's just the mysterious cops show up and the people commit suicide. It's just a weird. I don't know why that would happen. Why would that happen? Why would that happen, Vancouver? Why would that happen, Toronto? Or it's even in Canada. Why would that happen if you have 3 black people just like suddenly kill themselves? Right around the time the police department shows up in Chicago, where Obama, Clinton, and everybody in Biden's cabinet and all his predecessors and the people who taught him, like Obama, or people who like Obama did an amazing job covering all this shit up. Worked in Chicago. I mean, anyways, long story short, he brought NYPD to the fucking racial. Anyway, my point is that he brought the NYPD, these people, to his inauguration. Was already breaking his promises. Before he got in, he was already breaking all the promises that he was making to get anybody to come with him. He's doing absolutely nothing. The ruling class is doing on the biggest, the worst crimes are on the international foreign policy and the military industrial complex and the planetary Death Star, Star Destroyer, and War Machine. That's the worst one that's right now going through. Which is, it's because it's most of the planet that suffers that one. But again, talking about inside of the Empire, on the surface of the Death Star, where at least the stormtroopers in Star Wars, the stormtroopers, like you don't get to see, like, so when a stormtrooper comes home, like, do the stormtroopers like take a speeder home, going over their like dusty, is it like, the Death Star doesn't look too bad, like. It looks like it looks recently painted, like the stormtroopers that come home, You know, they go to their military base, you know, or they go to their city, right? They go to their, everything's white, so it's a little bit, the color scheme's a little boring. Maybe throw a little green there. It might elongate the lifespans of your, you know, planetary, universe, galaxy-wide, life annihilators, right? I mean, just put a little green on there. So much white. I guess that's a little off brand because you got the rebellion with the green hats. I get it. You know, but I'm just saying, it's proof. You know, scientists and statistics and data have shown that, you know, having a little green, you know, can actually, like, you know, maybe. Well, then the Emperor Palpatine said, well, I don't want my Star Destroyers to. I don't want my stormtroopers to be calm. I want them to be upset, anxious, enraged all the time. So they're really good at killing people. I don't want them to calm down and have lower blood pressure, less chance of diabetes, heart attack, stroke, you know, hypertension, you know, upper respiratory tract syndrome. I don't care about their health. I just want them to go out and kill people. So, okay, I get it. But, I mean, think about it. The Stormtrooper, at least they have painted apartments. I imagine the Stormtroopers have, you know, they come home and they have, like, they have, like, you know, Imperial wife. Probably looks like, you know, maybe Stepford wifey. And I mean, it's a little more like 50s America, you know. The wife, you know, is cooking like the severed bodies, parts of Ewoks, Tatooinians, and Naboo people. They don't tell them that. They just grind up because we don't learn how the sausage is made. That's what Hillary. That's from the actual real world Death Star pilot. Hillary Clinton said, you know, nobody wants to learn how the sausage is made. So nobody knows that they're actually eating Ewoks in their hot dogs and their McDonald's burger, their McEmpire burgers and their Taco Battlestar tacos. You know, they don't know that's actually ground up Ewok because you don't want to learn how the sausage is made. That's what you're eating. Whenever you buy an iPhone, you know, when you buy any products, unfortunately, it's got the blood of dead Iraqis, the Bolivian sweatshop labor of Southeast Asians, and Bolivian indigenous people's coup by we will coup whoever we want, Elon Musk. But anyways, the stormtroopers in Star Wars, at least like they have like 3-bedroom houses for if you have a family of 4. Let's say you got, you know, dad, he was like stolen as a child, you know, from his home planet, trained in the Imperial military, you know. I mean, I don't know, kind of like people coming from Samoa and Mexico, you know, joining the U.S. military disproportionately because they need fucking money for college, being trained to go across abroad. You know, in America, they go send you to Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa, South Central America, Asia, you know, some country they got to put down uprising, rebellion in one of their colonies, make a new colony, just bomb the shit out, you know, just kick in the door of some Afghani's house, drive a 50 caliber mounted Jeep through, crush their lawn, right? Take all of their, family heirlooms, ransack the house, terrorize the wife, shoot the first man who stands up because, I don't know, maybe he's a terrorist, right? We have good intelligence from the very smart CIA that is often wronged by the reports of Afghanistan and Iraq. They just said, these people are bad. We don't know anything about them specifically, but they're just bad. Well, it's okay because the job of the CIA is not to actually find the terrorists, just to lie, cheat, and steal. So here's a picture of some brown person that also has like a satellite photo of this could be a concentration camp. I don't know it's actually a football field. Well, let's just say it's a concentration camp and like Photoshop over the 10, 20, 30 yard line and the field goals. Okay, go to the concentration camp and liberate everyone. So you drive to the football field, you mow everybody down, you kill everyone, you know, and then so in on the Earth Empire, right? And then you come home and you got PTSD, and then you murder yourself or you splatter yourself on the highway driving 200 miles on your Honda motorbike, praying for death, and then you just end up as shrapnel along the highway, little bits of your guts, and then your wife cries, and then finds a new person who is also an abusive man because you have an entire imperial broken civilization full of stormtroopers with Excel spreadsheet characteristics, or even worse, lawyers. So, who exclusively defend corporations for their living if they want to live not in a cardboard box. So, but in the Star Wars Star Destroyers, right? In the Star Wars Empire, it's pretty cool because you actually get a house with like 4 walls, an apartment. Now it's a white apartment, kind of boring. You can't paint inside because I mean, if you paint anything green, you might be rebelling. It's kind of like you can't have a hammer and sickle. You can't like have a Chinese flag, otherwise you're like a Wuhan flu bioterrorist, right? You're probably working with the Nazis on the moon with a 5G COVID conspiracy, beaming radioactive material into the good, hardworking, freedom-filled lungs of Americans that are breathe free the air of other people's pandemic-filled saliva, spittle, and aerosolized particles, right? And so, and it's just China just beaming all of these lasers down into American lungs. That's what most of America believed for like a year. Now a little bit less of them. But that's only because Facebook decided to alter their consciousness, right? Facebook, again, the surveillance capitalists just said, well, I could turn that off for a little bit. We'll turn that off for a little bit. Let's turn off the Wuhan flu. Mark Zuckerberg had 10 times more Breitbart Fox News on his fucking Facebook. I mean, anyways, it's just so easy. It's like pressing the CIA said, like, it's so easy. It's like a Wurlitzer jukebox. You know, we put in a coin. Every newspaper, radio, intellectual, New York Times bestseller list, everybody on NPR, the TED Talks, all the intelligentsia, the recipes, the Wired articles. We press a button, everybody's singing our fucking song, right? Whichever song we want at whatever time. So that's all they do. They just push the button. They said, "Oh well, we're not doing that 5G Wuhan flu thing anymore. It's not working out quite as well as we thought. So let's just change that into Stan Biden or Stan Biden or you're a terrorist." And everybody's doing that. So that's really, I mean, again, that's a testament to. I mean, they're pretty incompetent. But I mean, you throw your $21 trillion in any direction. Even if you miss with 20 trillion of them, I mean, the 1 trillion is enough to warp everybody's mind. Still incompetent at doing actual coups, unlike their predecessors, right? Getting fished, the Liam Neeson and the A-Team getting fished out of the Venezuelan waters by the Venezuelan Fishermen Socialist Association, though that's still incompetent. But again, you throw enough money at any problem, right? $21 trillion. There's one district in Afghanistan where they spent $3 million building the general with a West Point graduate with sterling marks, all kind of beautiful stars and stripes all over his fucking shoulder, like going into Afghanistan, built like 20 schools in an area that had like 50 students, just like 20 schools, for literally no reason. Now, it's unlike the ghost cities in Asia where they actually get filled up and used. This is like 20 schools, just so that he could say, I spent $3 million. So that the military would give him would kick him up a notch, so that they can justify the spending of the next $3 million on war. Right here, did we bomb the soccer field? Did we like drive a tank through like 20,000 people's neighborhoods, and then like terrorize your family and waterboard 16-year-olds and make 19-year-old Americans waterboard 16-year-old Muslims and Arab people and Afghanis? And Iraqis do, and like, I don't know if you know what that is. If you don't know what that is, it's torture. It's called making people simulate drowning on other people by pouring water on a towel over your face for hours, and then not finding a single terrorist. I mean, and then after that, and then so we terrorized, we tortured, we killed, we blew up soccer fields, hospitals, have the moms pick up little pieces of their infants and their 3-year-olds and their 10-year-olds next to the children's hospitals that we blew up by the 100. And I know, let's build 500 schools in the middle of nowhere where we killed all the children, so that we can say that we spent $3 million, so we can justify another Lockheed Martin yacht payment and another 3 islands for the CEO of fucking Raytheon, right? Anyway, long story short, that's what, if you were to, that's what Star Wars is wrong. It needs to have Star-Spangled Empire. The stormtroopers should have Star-Spangled banners all over their foreheads. It's very unrealistic. It's very unrealistic. I understand, because George Lucas wanted to make fucking $6 billion, so George Lucas could buy California, right? So he's King Lucas of the Neofeudal California. He wants to set the water rights. George Lucas is over there going like, I directed some of the greatest movies of the United States. I did some of the best, best movies of all time, making all of these movies that are ostensibly about criticizing the war, but they end up like not actually doing much of anything in the long run, and nobody gets anything, and it's just a fandom menace for a bunch of pissed off alt-right gamer gators to weaponize another vector for Steve Bannon and get Trump elected, with the CIA backing and Mark Zuckerberg working together to turn fucking 7 billion people into a bunch of fucking fascists, all the white ones anyway. So I'm George Lucas. I helped create global fascism and made fucking terrible movies after 1990. I deserve all of California, and these fucker East Coasters, these East Coast fuckers like Harvard with the Harvard the Harvard Emperor Palpatine training facility, so-called educational institution that's actually a hedge fund. We're investing in the military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, destroying Wall Street bettors with billions and billions and billions of dollars. I'm not fucking joking about this. You can look this shit up. The Harvard hedge fund trust which owns $40 billion, billions of dollars worth of Californian water rights, so that they will be the immortal water lords, and George Lucas, should be the water lord of California. That's what George Lucas, that's what he wanted. And in order for George Lucas to become the neo-feudal water lord of California, because Elon Musk is like, fuck this state, I'm going to Texas, because, Texas, they do even better capitalism there. It's like one of the #1 states for rich fucking oil tycoons. And I only make fucking Teslas for fucking fun, to get all the rich fucking bleeding heart liberals with their Greenwich, Connecticut houses and their oh my god, let's save the planet, watching David Attenborough crying for the polar bears. I want the rich billionaire liberal money flowing into my fucking Tesla and into my SpaceX, and I don't give a shit about the planet. If I did, I wouldn't have a fucking emerald mine with slaves in it. I wouldn't be killing Bolivians with the U.S. military-backed coup and proxy wars that I have benefited from. I wouldn't do that if I gave a shit about human. I don't give a shit. I only do the green shit because America has all these fucking idiot liberals with billions of dollars of neo-feudal central bank printed quantitative infinity easing money in all their fracking companies. California is number 4, is the top 5 in fracking. Fracking is not going away. I don't give a shit about the planet, actually. I just wanted all this stupid liberal billionaire money. That's all I wanted. And I got it. I am one company that has a greater valuation, total market capitalization than Toyota, Lexus, GM, Chrysler, Saab, every other car company basically combined, and I outgrossed them. I outgrossed them all. And I don't give a shit about the planet. That's why I'm gonna move to Texas, the leading fracking oil state that literally has a monument, a actual massive like gold-plated oil rigs in its malls, and it has entire giant you can buy half a cow worth of beef in one of the restaurants. And we're just a giant. I'm gonna go to Dallas specifically because it's one of the. It's such a free state. It's a free market. It's such a free place. All the best free things come, like free Alex Jones. You get free right-wing conspiracy theory, nonsense. You get free oil subsidies for all your oil billionaires and your Mercers and Donald Trump's friend, who we took hundreds of millions of dollars from to basically like destroy all the indigenous people's protests and back all of their oil productions, and that kind of went sour. And I'm Elon Musk, and I don't actually give a shit about the fucking planet. That's why I'm moving to Texas, so I can be the neo-feudal king of Texas, but then pretend like I care about fucking the climate. Even though what we would need to do to stop to deal with the climate change is to deal with capitalism, and I can't deal with capitalism because I'm Elon Musk, and I sit on a throne of $186 billion of basically central bank printed quantitative easing infinity money, but it doesn't matter, right? Because I have the fucking money. I'm close enough. I have the proximity. I have a $200 billion worth of shit posting, pretending like I have a company while imploding the rest of the entire economy into a fucking shitstorm. Not making cars. You don't actually. The other car companies are already surpassing Tesla. I'm selling dreams to billionaire liberals who think that they themselves are the solution, but they are not. They are the problem. They're why everything else is dying. I'm also co-invested in the military-industrial complex, but I'm not going to bring that fact up. Just like Mark Zuckerberg, just like Microsoft, just like Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, Google, every single one of these things are co-invested and take billions of dollars from the United States military-industrial complex, which they proudly admit on their news and in places like The Economist and Forbes. They are all participating in the planetary destruction of the environment, and not just the environment, and all the people in it. The military is the single biggest emitter of fossil fuel of carbon on the planet. Anyways, long story short, the Empire, but in all of this, right? The Empire in Star Wars, at least the stormtroopers have a 3-bedroom house that's all white, but it doesn't have like holes in the ceiling caving in, full of asbestos, right? And losing that house to the bank. Because if the stormtrooper gets shot in the leg, right? If stormtrooper gets shot in the leg, right? They don't get a $70,000 medical bill and then lose their house and the stormtroopers limping. You wouldn't have a very efficient empire if you got stormtroopers like limping around, right? Like outside the VA, you're just like, oh my God, what am I gonna, shit, I've got to, the stormtroopers, from what it looks like, they don't go too much into the life of the stormtrooper. Like, they come home, you know, they sit down, their kids over there playing VA-11 Hall-A visual novels. They're like, I don't know if my kid is trans or not. I mean, trans rights, but you know, like they deal with these social issues. You know, they're like, oh, fuck you, dad. I'm gonna go stream and I'm gonna change my gender and fuck you. And then dad's like, well, I'm from a different time. I don't know. We just killed people, and you know, and then we had barbecues, and then we had, you know, we played baseball, and we had barbecues. We killed lots of Ewoks, and there were men and women, and I don't understand why my son. I think the stormtroopers have like these intergenerational, like social, you know, LGBTQ struggles, you know, like LGBTQ younger stormtroopers, right? And then 20 years later, more gay stormtroopers, right? And then you know, and then they go, don't ask, don't tell, right? And then you can join up and you can pilot a Star Destroyer. You can go down, you can be an AT Walker and shoot, you know, 50 caliber, you know, laser cannons into the bodies of sand people, right? And be gay, and it's totally fine 20 years later. And then later on they have like a soul trans, and then they have, you know, women's stormtroopers rights, like more women war criminals, right? And then you have like Captain Stormtrooper Marvel, right? And then you have like Wonder Stormtrooper Woman, right? And then she's like sniping and shit. She's like stormtrooper sniping all of the sniping all the Iraqis and all the Palestinians. Oh, I'm sorry, is that too on the nose? Oh, she's sniping all of the little Nabooie kids. And then more women join the stormtroopers, right? But in this entire time, the stormtroopers are not like rotting in cardboard boxes. 50% of the stormtrooper professors are in food and skirt. 100% of the stormtrooper professors are teaching, right? They're teaching what? They're teaching the stormtrooper book. Oh, I'm sorry, that's called every American history textbook, right? So they're teaching American history where America does nothing wrong, right? Replace America with the Empire. The Empire does nothing wrong. We're bringing freedom and democracy to the universe, right? And so professors teaching Imperial History 101 and 206, right? They're reading, and then the great Count Dooku, you know, freed all of the clone slaves, and that was the end of oppression in this empire. Oh, great. Now write an essay and show up for, you know, Martin Luther King Day, but, you know, it's, you know, like Jar Jar Binks King Day, and let's learn about how all the Gungans are all equally treated now, even though they aren't still to this day, right? And the history professor is making $100,000 a year in the Stormtrooper University, right? That's a better empire, right? In America, you're teaching fucking imperial history in the school, in the high school, about how, you know, Thomas Jefferson is a goddamn Superman, and Jesus fucking Christ with star-spangled characteristics invented all the greatest things, and didn't have 260 slaves, was a little child rapist, and thought the black children that he raped were animals, and also was a genocidal dictator, and the entire democracy of the United States is fucking fake. Slavery never ended. American colonialism, the entire history the entire colonial history. Are you kidding me? Vietnam, World War II, Iraq, Afghanistan. You don't learn any of this shit in America, you know? Also, you learn, you know? So American imperial history professors, college professors, high school teachers, grade school teachers are still teaching imperial stormtrooper brain garbage. But the ones in America, like me, I taught in some schools, right? I tried not to teach that kind of stuff, but I was living in a monster tribute, eating spoonfuls of peanut butter for dinner, feeding my children peas and carrots with a little bit with ramen because that's all we could afford in the fucking food desert. Teaching the fucking teaching the empire's fucking history. Shit, I mean, if you're now you have to be in the Star Wars Empire, you have to teach the history like with only white walls, and you maybe have to wear a stupid mask. I'm like, why are we wearing a stupid mask? Well, everybody's wearing stupid masks now, right? Because y'all got fucking COVID, right? And y'all dying. I think the Empire would probably do a little better at dealing with the COVID-19. I don't know. They seem a little bit more efficient, right? Than that. The Star Wars Empire. The American Empire killing all their... Why are you killing all your stormtroopers with COVID? 470,000. That's a waste of 470,000 bodies that could have been murdering all the Afghanis and the North Africans by jacking the price. I mean, whether you go down with a gun or you jack the price of rice up to $100 a grain, or I don't know, you know, participate in the accounting and fraud schemes and take all the money of Greece and put it into a bunch of collateralized debt obligations and sell it into someone's pension fund and then destroy Greece, you're still killing people in America, whether you're working at an office, you're in a marketing team, you're giving speeches, you're a politician, a radio host, a fucking coder programming the drones that the actual PS4 controller stormtroopers are flying the Hellfire missiles around, blowing up the children. You're always killing people in America. Don't kid yourself. But I mean, in Star Wars Empire, at least, you know, you could kill people, right? And teach nonsense history, right? and then you could go home and you have actual house instead of like college professors living in their car begging Hawaiians for a place to live, which is what we did. We housed because we're not an imperial power. We actually housed some homeless college professors who are making $7 an hour, right? Begging their own students who are rich, Marin County, George Lucas, literally George Lucas cousins. I knew somebody who taught George Lucas's like cousins, or his kids' cousins. And he's like, I had to beg them for food. So the American college professors teaching philosophy, Marxian philosophy. I mean, but they don't care, actually hosted Richard Wolff at one point at university. The debate that was supposed to happen between him and Jordan Peterson, he was somebody who was involved in that. Somebody teaching college classes, English, history. I mean, a legitimate job. People who teach aeronautics, engineering, science, environmental science, biotech. All these college professors, grade, at the undergraduate, graduate, and at the highest level. The average the wage is minimum wage or less. The stormtroopers in the United States Empire, the professors get to go home to their car and then ration out their fucking insulin and then die getting beaten by the SWAT cops. In the Empire of Star Wars, at least the stormtroopers, they go home to a house. The professors go home to a house while brainwashing all their people into believing that their empire is the greatest thing since sliced fucking bread, and we're all saving the universe by converting everyone in the empire imperialism, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Inside the empire, it doesn't look like that. Inside the empire, what they call it is democracy, freedom, and prosperity. Very efficient markets. That's what they call it inside. Outside, it looks like all these planetary creeps with white suits killing everyone. But inside, it looks like freedom. It looks like freedom and democracy and prosperity and all this nonsense, right? And so that but America. So stormtroopers come home, they can take a vacation, right, in the Empire, right? They kill all the Tatooinians, they kill all the Ewoks, take all their resources, all their coaxium, all the tech. What do you got? You got some minerals, you got some Vespene gas. We take that. We'll make some battle cruisers, a few siege tanks, 25,000 Raytheon siege tanks. We'll make 50,000. We'll make 10. Boeing Star Destroyers. We'll make 50. Smith and Wesson AR-15s. Thanks for all those minerals. Thanks to those Vespene gas. Oh, you can die. Oh, you want to have an uprising? Oh, we'll have some humanitarian aid. Jerk the tear ducts of all the liberals on all of the coasts who vote for all of our Democrats, and then we'll get the manufacturer consent to go in and murder every last one of you with all the tanks, the bombs, and the guns, and the fucking ion cannons that we just made. So, you go over there, you steal everybody's resources, and you get to enjoy the resources. As a stormtrooper in America, you don't even get to enjoy the resources that you participated in murdering, killing, raping, pillaging, genociding, and enslaving people to steal, right? You can't even afford the fucking house that you stole. You can't afford, the new nice phone that you stole all the copper and the lithium and the coltan and the copper and the Bolivians, indigenous people were murdered. You can't even get the new phone. What the fuck good is that empire? America's going, oh no, this is the best we got. We can't ask for anything better. You got all this money, but you can't even afford the nice food, right? That the internally colonized Hispanics are mechanically separating. They're mechanically separating these like Tyson chicken nuggets, but you can't even afford a fucking chicken nugget. You're eating ramen from China, of all places. Imagine that. You can't even eat your own Honduran genocide, internal war. And ecological wildfire and storm-caused disaster refugees that get pushed across the border, right, and then demonized in the empire. But you can't even, and then they come across the border, and then they can be threatened with deportation back to the hell that America generated for them, and you can't even get the mechanically separated dinosaur nuggets or Mickey Mouse nuggets. You like Mickey Mouse? You can't even get your Mickey Mouse nuggets from all of your internally colonized $3 an hour. If you try to unionize, I'm gonna call ICE. Hispanic laborers, right? It's just like, it's not even fair. It's not fair, is it? Right? You gotta eat the fucking ramen made by the Chinese. They made Wuhan flu. They did bioterror. They're like gonna kill the planet. They're like worse than us. They're like authoritarian. They're gonna kill us all. Oh my God! You gotta eat their fucking noodles. It's so sad. You gotta wear their masks. You gotta use their antibiotics. Oh, did you ever get strep throat? You ever kiss another stormtrooper and you get mono You know, you ever accidentally contact staff because you're living in your food desert. You know, you're scraping around, you accidentally eat the wrong food, you use the wrong needle, you get some cholera. You ever need an antibiotic? Oh, you gotta take the Chinese antibiotic. Oh my God, you can't even have your own empire's, you know, artisanal Mexican made antibiotics. It's so sad. It's so sad. See, in the Star Wars Empire, you know, in that empire, they can all have all the Count Dooku and Baby Yoda head chicken nuggets that they want, you know, because they like the Baby Yoda heads. I mean, they dismember all the Baby Yodas, right? Because they go down to kill them all, and they take their heads, and then they make the Baby Yoda, and then they like the head. It looks cool. They mount it on their walls, on the white walls. I'm sorry, you can't have any green or blue because, you know, I don't know. It's just a weird thing. You all gotta all be white because, I don't know, that just like represents communism to Americans or something. It's because like, you know, like in Vietnam and socialist places, like they don't have any color. It's false. But I mean, but internally to Americans, that represents, you know, what they want to destroy and hate in the Cold War. So I'm sorry, you gotta have a white wall, but I mean, you can have Baby Yoda chicken nuggets, artisanally, mechanically separated chicken nuggets by the little Ewoks that you stole from their country. Oh, you bombed the Ewoks' moon till all their tree houses are all on fire, burnt to a crisp. Not unlike the wildfire ash in California. You burn all the Ewoks' houses on fire. You put a bunch of you give the Ewoks the little fingers. Their phone's not that big. Their hands not that big, so they gotta have like microphones, right? Micro Ewok phones, and they're like, oh, you know, jump, and then you give all the baby Ewoks, right, a bunch of fascist propaganda through Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, right? You just pump up far right propaganda and talking points into all the Ewoks. So you got all these hateful Ewoks, right? Who you've mass manipulated because they don't have any money and they don't have any resources because you bombed them and turned them into a shithole. And then you give them all Facebook, and then you make a bunch of fascist Ewoks who then throw Molotov cocktails and fire bombs and throw acid onto anybody trying to overthrow their governments, that the Ewoks who are trying to maintain their socialist governments against the Empire. And you have the fascist Ewoks that all love your country now. And then you say, hey Ewoks, and you have Ted Cruz come out and you go, Ewoks, we stand with you. I mean, the fascist ones. The fascist ones. We stand with you, Ewoks. You have Mike Pompeo and the CIA bring the far right Ewok party radicalized with Facebook and all your social media companies into, you know, Imperial DC, right? And you take pictures with them and you go, you see, these Ewoks, they just want freedom of speech. They want freedom. They want democracy. They're asking for their voices to be heard. They don't want rules of. They want oppressive. Security acts and extradition rules, right? To the oppressive communist, the CCE, the communist, you know, the CEP, the Communist Ewok Party. They don't want anybody to having a communist, you know, oppression in their good, free, democratic Ewok, you know, little bastion of Ewok freedom that we've created, right? With our fascist far right Facebook algorithm that also created internal COVID Wuhan flu QAnon inside of our own country. Oh shit! Did we create firebombing, acid throwing, fucking swastika wearing fascists in our own country? And did they fucking attack our capital on January 6th? I mean, in a video game. I mean, in Star Wars, you know, Knights of the Round. Not in America. America doesn't have like collapses of its democracy where literal fascists overthrow their capital. That doesn't happen and threaten and actually almost kill senators and representatives. That doesn't happen. In a video game, in Knights of the Round Table, the CIA accidentally creates too many far-right fascist democracy overthrowers in its own democracy. Oops! Oh no, what did we do? Wait, no, they're only supposed to happen in Asian, South American, Latin American, African, and Middle Eastern countries that we want to overthrow. With Facebook, with Twitter, with international media control, with Epoch Times, with all this. Oh shit, did we have Ewoks? Did we accidentally use our Ewok radicalization rate inside of our own country? Oh no, shut it off. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Google, Deutsche Bank monetary transactions into Donald Trump and the Mershers, Patreon, PayPal, entire internet infrastructure, probably trying to get us up, shut down. Oh no, wait, oh shit. We accidentally did, that's only for radicalizing Ewoks, Tatooinis, Nabuis, and other colonial powers that we want to fracture into far right to kill the far left, overthrow it, and then install our puppets. Oops. Oh, did we do that? Oh no, is that what we did? But while you're working for Mike Pompeo, right, going on Twitter and Facebook as a computer programmer in the Star Wars Empire. See, that's the thing. Computer programmers at Boeing programming the MAS autopiloting system to correct for mechanical failures in the turbines of Boeing 737 Supermax aircraft. The programmers are paid $9 an hour or less. So those programmers are living in their car in Washington or in California, right? Going to Boeing, right? Living 20 to a house, starving, while programming the artificial intelligence that will decide whether 300 people flying from LA to Tokyo, Tokyo to Mumbai to Malaysia, or from, you know, a European country into Ethiopia, which is where the plane crashed, whether they live or die, right? Anyway, so when you're a stormtrooper in the United States programming Boeing's aircraft, not the Boeing planes that go to Afghanistan and murder all of the Ewoks. I'm sorry, the Afghanis. Not the Boeing planes that go into, you know, kill all the Tatooinis. Oh, I'm sorry, all the Africans in a shadow war that we're not even going to be informed about for the next century. When you're working for Boeing and you're making the commercial airlines that are crashing and killing people, losing $40 billion of the entire Boeing stock, but then getting more central bank quantitative infinity money to crash more planes, which is what Boeing got in 2019 and 2020, crashing more planes than it flew. You're only making $9 an hour while you're programming those planes, right? In the Star Wars Empire, right? Programming the Screamers and the Star Destroyer autopilot, right? Like when let's say that you know, Captain Phasma and, you know, the Admiral, the one that gets his neck pinched with Darth Vader's, like, culturally appropriated, you know, he's kind of like long range Tai Chi death touch, you know. Imagine that Admiral gets tired. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna fall asleep. Oh my God, I'm sick of looking at all these other fucking, the 442nd or the 335th or what the fuck, the battalion where people go around dressing up as stormtroopers, which is a weird ass thing, but makes sense in the United States Empire for people to dress up like stormtroopers and go around to cosplay at huge conventions in Vegas. Makes sense. So let's say the guy's sick of watching these cosplayers dancing around, and he's like, fuck, it's a long time. We didn't get enough tachyon because our Bolivian coup. I'm sorry. Our Alderaan coup failed, so we couldn't get all of their coaxium. So we're gonna have to travel the slow way to get to the next country. We gotta planet. We gotta blow up the smithereens. I'm gonna put this Star Destroyer on autopilot. So the captain's like putting his hat down, right? The Admiral, he's like, Vader, fucking stop force choking me. I gotta go to sleep. And he's like going to sleep. And he's like, and he puts it on autopilot. So the people who program the autopilot, the autopilot on the Star Destroyers when they go to blow up Afghanistan, Alderaan or whatever they want to blow up, the autopilot actually works. It doesn't crash the Star Destroyer accidentally into, like, you know, the moon or the asteroid field, you know. So the giant, you know, worms come out, and, like, you know, Han Solo is like screaming with his, like, you know, with his Pantene Pro V hair fluttering in the wind, and then the worm comes out and eats the Star Destroyer, right? So the Star Destroyer don't accidentally autopilot into a sun and, like, into a black hole and be spaghettified into little atomic constituent parts and then dissolved into nothingness, or into a white hole coming out into, you know, a white hole. You know, oh my God, that's the mouth of Joe Biden. Oh, the worst shit comes out of that. It makes sense. That's what the Star Destroyer comes in. Joe Biden's mouth opens up. All that shit comes out. That's a white hole. Anyways, so when the autopilot works in Star Wars, because they pay the programmers, right? The Imperial programmers who program the drones and the Hellfire missiles and the targeting system to blow up all the school buses full of children, right, in the Middle East. I'm sorry, in Tatooine. The Star Destroyer programmers get paid a good salary, $50 an hour, $100 an hour, right? The Imperial Stormtroopers, when they go back to their whitewashed walls, you got a whitewashed, you know, oh my God, everyone's got Macs in here. Why does everybody got a Mac? We're all programming the autopiloting system on Star Destroyers. Why are we all programming on Macs? Oh, that's right. Oh, we can only use white. I forgot. Okay, so they're all programming on white Macs, right? All the Star Destroyers, right? So they're very hip. You know, it's a little more expensive per computer, but they got to use white because, I mean, otherwise it might look like the enemy of the rebels is, like, you know, has freedom to have different color schemes. Right? That's basically the point, because communism is when you only use two tones. You know, like red and black, or, you know, it's like white and black. You know, that's all you can use. So you're over there programming, but, you know, being bored out of your mind with this fucking stupid color scheme, but at least you're making $60 an hour. You make it $60 an hour, $100 an hour, programming the autopiloting on the Star Destroyer. So guess what? You're doing a good job, right? You can focus. You're eating. You're not eating fucking spam with reconstituted fucking GMO potatoids. You know, pork and beans and dumpster dived top fucking cup noodle every night, right? Like I was, right? You're not eating shit and you're sleeping because you only got to work 8 hours. You don't have to work another job after you get. Oh shit! I got off shit, but I gotta go teach this extra class for college for $6 an hour. Oh shit! And then yeah, I'm gonna go show for Coca-Cola. Conca-Cola because it's like Conquer and Cola. It's the Empire's soda, right? It's also only in white and black. It's like imagine a Coca-Cola swirl, but instead of like red and black, vaguely yin-yang looking thing, you got this white and black swirl. So you gotta show for Coca-Cola for fucking $3 and actually, if you're shelling for Coca-Cola in the Empire, they're giving you a good wage, $50 an hour to do that. So you don't gotta do that, right? But in America, you finish programming your fucking Boeing or your fucking F-35, and you're like, okay, now I gotta go work another job. So you're not getting enough sleep. You're dehydrated all the time because you can't afford hydration. The water comes out with chromium-6, fucking lead and copper. So you got brain damage, you got brain fog because you have this ongoing long-term chronic damage to your dendrites and your synapses and every blood vessel in your body, including the ones in your kidneys. So you're getting kidney failure because you're drinking water that's toxic, like fucking half to 90% of America is, but we don't know about. You won't know that until 100 years from now when the sentient tardigrades do a history of the United States, the actual one. It's like, oh my god, everybody was dying at the age of 50 or younger because almost all the water was literally toxic. So the stormtroopers get to drink like actually sterilized water with filtration, like, so they can do their job properly, right? They're not entering code bugs into all of the autopiloting system, unlike the Boeing programmers. It's not the fault of the Boeing programmers that the planes crash. It's that the corporate executives, they told, I mean, this is as an example, a captain in the United States Navy, whose job it was to repair F-15s, F-16s on aircraft carriers, like the USS Dead White War Criminal. I mean, who cares which one it is? You know what I'm talking about. The captain in the United States military, who for 30 years, where they had to use some socialism in the US military at one point, right? When they had a somewhat functioning one, efficiently murdering the world and extracting all its resources. They had, the captain said, these planes are not being built up to spec. The assembly, people are falling asleep on the assembly lines. The QA, half of the bolts on the outside of the engines where it attaches to the plane are not properly fastened. We don't have redundant testing. Like, people are missing the wiring on the motherboards on this particular panel are not proper, are not using a proper grade of a glue. The wiring is off. This aircraft. This is in the real world. Boeing 737 aircraft. This aircraft, Boeing, also huge military contractor. It's part of the empire. This Boeing military imperial aircraft with commercial flight uses is improperly manufactured. If you did this in the military, in the U.S. military, I mean, when I was working there, not recently, they would never let this operation fly because these planes are going to crash. They will crash. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right? And then the corporation said, well, we can save, if we use an aluminum tinfoil body with an RC motor and the cheapest motherboard, and we underpay all the assembly line workers, the mechanics that are putting the parts together, that are bolting all the seats to the ground, installing the electronics and the avionics and all the wing adjusters. If we underpay all the people building the plane a lot and crunch them, like make them work 100 hours a week for 3 months straight, we can get more money, more planes out, right? We can get twice as many planes out, or 2.5 times the planes out of the door in half the time. And what does that mean? That means for this quarter, or these 2 quarters, our productivity and profits will be going like this. And guess what? I am an executive in a Boeing, and this is what the executive actually told the captain. He said, this is not the U.S. military. This is a private enterprise. I don't care. If the planes by what he was saying by extension is, I don't care if people die, these planes crash, people die, and this entire company and all the planes that it produces are wasted. I will make $100 million in bonuses over the next 2 quarters, and then I will be gone. And I will be at another company destroying that one, right? again, this is when I say you make more money crashing planes and flying them. I'm not joking. You make more money crashing games like Cyberpunk 2077. I just asked, my friend just said, I just got the latest update number 6.577, platinum, gold, ruby, diamond, emerald, 100% fixed. And he showed me a picture. Now the sound is completely off, and my characters walk around like they're all being crucified all the time. I mean, not because they're made in an empire. I mean, it is, because the United States, is doing a lot of it. But I mean, they're walking around like they're in the fucking T-pose still. Fucking almost 2 months later. What? Well, it's because you can make more money crashing games under the neofeudalism. But anyway, so again, in Star Wars, I mean, at least the fucking Star Destroyers don't kill you when you're flying them around. I mean, they kill other people. They kill all the Ewoks and all the Iraqis and the Afghanis and the Africans and I'm sorry, I keep forgetting the Sand people and the Nabooian, and people you want to kill and take all the resources. It only kills those brown and black and blue and green and purple and red people. People with funny tentacles on their face, right? That means you can kill them. It only kills the people standing on resources that are the empires, but they don't know it yet, right? Untouched natural territory, no indigenous life, right? It's a pristine territory, like America, pristine territory till white people saw it and claimed it. Then it had value. Just like the Canadian government just said, this Canada is unlivable without fossil fuel production, right? It's basically like, anyway. So these people, you go to these places and you kill the people, but the Star Destroyer doesn't kill you, right? You can live a good middle-class social democratic life, like Germany, right? See, Germany is a functioning empire. It's a piece of the empire that has like healthcare, housing, and food for them, right? While benefiting from 97% extraction of lithium from starvation wages from Bolivians. So the German $35 an hour pencil factory workers and gigafactory workers making Elon Musk's Tesla batteries with extra long life get $40 an hour, but the people in Bolivia get to starve and die with the United States backing the coup. So the America does all the stormtroopering, Germany gets all the fucking benefit, right? It's like it's not fair. It's like, why should the German fucking Nazis and the literal Nazis, who are the richest people in Germany, the literal descendants of Nazis that own Deutsche Bank, BMW, and other huge car companies, the richest brother and sister are collected. It's $40 billion between them. They're like the CEOs of, I believe, BMW or Volkswagen, one of those two. Anyways, so why do the Nazis get all the fucking money? Not the Nazis, but they airbrush over with Angela Merkel and reconciliation with our Muslims who we still lock up in cages and treat like second-class citizens. Anyways, but the Star Wars Empire is more like Germany, right? You can kill the rest of the world, right? Steal resources and labor from Africa, pay the Hungarian, the Turkish, and fascist governments to cage all the dark people coming across the border into your nice, pretty little white Germany, right? Into little cages, right? And Germany gets an actual the Star Wars Stormtrooper deal. You get the sock down deal. You do the imperialism abroad, and it's nice inside your little in your Death Star. And you don't call it a Death Star. You just call it Oktoberfest. You just call it like, we're just going to a tech convention in downtown Berlin. We're just like having really cool haircuts. You got a really cool haircut. I think that, everything's got to be white in the Empire, but I feel like you could have green hair and nose piercings. You could be a goth stormtrooper. It's fine. America has goth stormtroopers. They're called bankers. Lots of people who work in the bank, program for banks, program for Amazon, Exxon. They do digital stormtroopering. Programming the drones. They're goths. It's, you can have giant stompy, Davila boots. You can have like Trip jeans. You can wear like trench coats, and sit around and program fucking Lockheed Martin's, drones and Predators, Reapers, You could be goth stormtroopers, totally fine. You could be alt stormtrooper. You could even be a trans and gay stormtrooper, I mean, harder to do that like in the public, but I mean, if you work a job where you're like, just sitting at home, like piloting the drones, blowing people up, deleting all the leftists off of Facebook and Twitter. I mean, just sitting there, just like altering the algorithm. So when people say socialism, they get automatically shadow banned. When you say decolonization, like I do on Twitter and YouTube, when the Wetsuit and Unistoten, right? People in a country that's being bombed get deleted off of Twitter. If you're stormtrooper sitting around typing, a list and a C# code to delete everybody who is trying to get their actual voice out and then put fascism in front, like, which is admitted literally by literal Facebook employees who come out and said, I have millions of dead bodies on my hands. So if you're a Facebook stormtrooper just programming code from your comfort, then you can be a goth stormtrooper. It's totally fine. You don't have to only wear stupid white helmets, and white and black body armor, looking like some kind of like skinnier panda. I mean, you don't have to look like a skinny panda with deadly guns murdering everyone for billionaires, right? You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You know, you could be a ghost stormtrooper, but you gotta work. You gotta work like the IT crowd. IT crowd. You can be weird. You can be weird and have differently colored socks and look like Wes Anderson. You know, then you can be a Wes Anderson stormtrooper. Make propaganda movies, airbrushing over. You know, make billionaire philanthropist arms do the Playboy movies. Really creative stormtrooper. You know, stormtrooper with we can have really weird sweaters, turtlenecks. You can come with Edward Scissorhands hair. Dress up like Edward Scissorhands, cosplay. You can do that kind of stuff. You can be creative stormtrooper. You can be artistic stormtrooper sculptor. You know, making the next dead white war criminal sculpting piece, right? That will be knocked down for Black Lives Matter. Except we can't do that anymore because oh no, if we have to tear down actual war criminals, racists, colonialists, and genocidal people's statues, you'd have to burn every fucking dollar bill and piece of paper money in the world. And how is the cocaine and international drug dealing and oil and wealth extraction and all of the money laundering for the military-industrial complex going to happen if they burned every $100 bill because every U.S. president was a fucking war criminal? You can't do that, right? You can't. America can never tear all these statues down. So it makes it really hard. It makes it really hard to operate. You know, that's why you can never have racial healing. Anyways, but back to the Empire. So I mean, Star Wars Empire, much better benefits. I feel like the Star Wars Empire. You know, the stormtroopers don't take their masks off a lot, but I feel like they have good teeth, you know? They have good teeth, you know? Because they don't have to eat chocolate fucking bars all day long. They can actually eat healthy, nutritious food because they have $80,000 a year. They can spend $3,000 a month on fucking food, right? They can do that. They don't have to, you know, but if they do get cavities, right? Let's say you get a cavity, you're like gnawing on the head of a dead Baby Yoda. You're like, oh shit. Was this the chocolate covered Baby Yoda? Wait, is this the Splenda and stevia sweetened dead Baby Yoda head covered in chocolate, or was this the full sugar one? Oh shit! Oh, I don't have a toothbrush with me. I don't have a Finn branded toothbrush on me. Shit. Oh crap. And you gotta call the dentist. You just going for a routine check because you have dental, right? See, the stormtroopers on the Star Destroyer, when they're eating dead Baby Yoda chocolate covered heads, if they accidentally eat the sugar one, they can go in for a dental checkup in one of the 3 months of shore leave that they have. You know, they have all the vacation time. They can go get a dental checkup, go to the doctor. You know, they get. Oh, I was like, I've killed like millions of people with my spreadsheets, but I actually saw someone get shot by a stormtrooper while I was in Afghanistan. Oh, I'm sorry. When I was in Tatooine, I went down and I saw the results of the high frequency trading algorithms that I produced. All this money and weapons, I was just coding. Usually I just kill people sitting around coding for Facebook, Amazon, the CIA, NSA, banks, and mega corporations, or doing law. Usually I just go into courtrooms and I kill people by denying them healthcare and having 5-year-olds GoFundMe's wiped off of the internet because it looks bad for fracking companies in Pennsylvania. And usually I don't see the 5-year-old children dying from the frack water and the diseases that I've given them. But this one time I actually went to Tatooine and I had to see some of the Tatooinians like get shot, and the blood that came out of the back of their head as their skull flew all over the side of their Tatooinian village and it was on fire. It was just kind of gruesome. I don't want to have to see that anymore. It was a little bit it just was kind of shocking to see one of these people that I killed, you know? And so I feel like my heart rate raced, and then I you know what I did? I opened up a game of Bejeweled, you know? Well, it's the jewels are all white because we only have white jewels in the Empire, but you know, Bejeweled with, you know, light with diamonds and quartz and, you know, lighter gray diamonds. And I just played Bejeweled. I overlaid in my augmented reality display. Well, I had to go for a tour to see this because like officially we're supposed to like do some kind of like sensitivity training thing we're doing in the Empire now, where they send out the spreadsheet and the Excel and the Wall Street bets traders and the lawyers and the corporate executives and the marketing. We're supposed to like go out and see like some of the consequences of our economic, marketing, and money making and professional managerial activity in the field, so that maybe we gain like a little bit of a conscience. So I don't know what that. It's like a weird. I don't know what that is. But anyways, so I had to go to the field. They beat me down to Tatooine. I got in like one of those AT-AT walkers, and they walked us around, and we're supposed to like, they give us a Ludovico torture. They fucking open our eyes up like that. I'm joking. They don't actually do that. They just like, they just say, keep your eyes open, and we'll mark you down as, they gotta check out. The corporate training person who also wrote White Stormtrooper Fragility is over there going like, of course, we're all fucking wearing white all the time, so we're all fucking fragile white stormtroopers. I mean, this is like a joke. So the corporate training person, while we're in the AT-AT walker, is like, did you enjoy your latte and the chocolate covered Baby Yoda head? And I'm like, yeah, of course I did. How does this make you feel? They're giving like a psych eval thing. And then, but when I was watching that one, the 12-year-old gets shot in the face and the bits of their skull flying all over his mother, I felt like this weird, like, sense of, I don't know, is it guilt? I don't know what it is, but like, it's just like a really weird, just the blood dripping down the body. And I thought, like, I don't know, did I actually cause it? I don't know, but it was a weird thing. The sensitivity training is a joke. I mean, everyone else just taped their eyes shut. The person who was doing the checklist, the corporate trainer, like, he's gonna check it off either way. They're gonna get their $200,000 grant whether your eyes are open or closed. But anyway, so I watched this child get shot in the face by one of our. I support our troops. I support our troops. I believe we need to. The Stormtrooper VA is underfunded. I support our troops, and one of our hardworking troops went over there and blew away one of the 12-year-olds, and like, it caused me like a little bit of like my heart raced a little bit. Like, I started to think about my own child. It felt weird. It felt really weird. So anyway, but I put an AR overlay. I played some Bejeweled. I played some Sonic the Stormtrooper Hedgehog. I like retro games. I'm into retro games. I go on to Creative Commons, CC, very legal retro game. I don't pirate anything. And I play a little bit of Among Us with my friends. So most of everybody else just was playing Among Us with each other, not watching all the children get murdered, right? In Tatooine. So, but anyway, that caused my heart rate to spike. I feel like my blood pressure went up to about 180 over 120. It's not good. So I don't actually feel anything now because I'm so used to all the blood, death, and destruction. I've seen Grand Theft Auto, Grand Theft Astro 1 to 20. I played Call of Colonialism for like 7,000 hours on Stormtrooper Steam. You can go look at my recorded hours. I'm like ranked. I'm ranked internationally, #1. I've done more Call of, are you kidding me? I am the best colonialism. I have blown away so many virtual Ewoks, like, and taken all their shit like no one else's business. And I love all their games. The latest one, the new one's coming out. It's like, it's like, Call of Colonialism, Cold War. We're starting a new Cold War with the international Chinese conglomerate. I think that's the new one. But anyways, so I felt a little bit of something, but when my heart raced, it really scared me. Like, what if I have a heart condition? Like, what if I have like a Stormtrooper heart murmur? Like, what if I have like am I like in like, am I pre-diabetic, and is it like comorbid? I think I am pre-diabetic. So make sure I have stevia covered chocolate Baby Yoda heads. I mean, the Baby Yoda flesh is kind of like it's like a lizard jerky. It's a little weird, but the sugar is just not good for my diabetes. So, I gotta make sure I switch to that. Anyways, so I'm gonna tell my wife about that. But my heart, I'm like, I'm really worried. Like, am I gonna have a heart attack in the next year? Like, I mean, what if this is it? I'm 40 years old, 45 years old. I'm in that range. So anyway, so I was like, I want to go in. I went into the Imperial. I went into Captain Phasma Hospital. I went into Darth Vader. General Hospital, and had a checkup. And it was great. The doctor listened to my heart. Everyone's wearing white. Now, when you're in a medical facility, everybody's wearing white lab coats. The walls are white. The faces are white. Well, most of those people are white. Because we're also a fascist empire, and we don't talk about that. Just like the United States. I mean, they didn't talk about it either. They all had racial healing, and Martin Luther King solved racism. Remember? So, but it's all white faces, white walls, white doctor lab coats. Everything's white. So you don't, it's like it kind of makes sense, right? Everywhere else is white too, but in a medical facility. So anyway, I mean, this is just like an observation. I think I want to be a Stormtrooper novelist one day. I can make a lot of money, just like people in the New York Times bestseller list were Stormtroopers that wrote books that were all about CIA propaganda. They did a good job airbrushing over their empire by pretending like America was better than everyone else. I want to be the first Imperial. I want to be a new Imperial novelist. I want to be like the Chuck Palahniuk for like Broken's, ennui and angst-filled middle class. Midlife crisis havers. Stormtroopers have midlife crisis too. Like I said, they have all the things that Americans have because America is an empire, right? So this stormtrooper novelist is going in for his heart attack, his heart checkup, comes out and doesn't have to pay $70,000 for the heart attack checkup after eating a Baby Yoda head while watching Tatooinians get their children shot. So like, that's the difference between the Star Wars Empire and the American Empire. In the American Empire, Americans, they don't even have sensitivity training for all the storms. They don't send all the Americans out to go enjoy the fruits of their of their labor and their empire. They don't go to Iraq and watch all the children get murdered, and they have to watch the troopers, the soldiers have to go pull out the little children that got the entire half of a library fallen on them with giant chunk of flaming rubble, and then accidentally separate the children's torso from the leg, and then cry and then have nightmares and then blow their brain out later on. Americans don't have to go see the fruits of what they've done, right? They can just kind of like blot that out. No, they can just play Bejeweled. They can just paper that over with, Bejeweled or their Twitter feed or, just some really shitty Tiger King TV show and pretend like that didn't happen, right? See, in the Star Wars Empire, they actually have some sensitivity training, which this is bullshit. Doesn't matter. Just like cops sensitivity training and, diversity training doesn't do shit in the United States. It doesn't do shit for the stormtroopers there, but I mean, they do it. It's compulsory. They got to do it. It gives some fuel for Chuck Palahniuk in the Star Wars Empire to write some novels about these gruesome things that they've seen, and watching the journalists, throwing, putting on a Ewok costume and throwing gasoline on an already burnt out car, setting it on fire, and all of the Western Imperial Galactic media. Ducking and dodging fake bullets with fake sound effects, like some stormtroopers like firing blanks so they can say, "Oh, this is the moderate rebels. Holy shit, I'm fearing for my life. Oh my god, the Wookiee rebellion is happening. Oh my god!" And then they can justify going in and murdering everyone in a preemptive war of aggression. So, and then you can write about that. You can be like, wow, this is really weird. Like how the Western now the stormtrooper novelist, right, is not going to include the part about how the Western media, the German, the French, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox all go to Iraq in a giant bus, set a bunch of already burnt cars on fire again, put a bunch of smoke machines from Hollywood, set a bunch of smoke behind them, have Hollywood blanks fired as they're ducking and dodging fake bullets 30 miles from the red zone so that they can drum up another war in Iraq, Afghanistan, or Kuwait. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, fuck. Was I talking about Earth? Oh, I'm sorry. So that doesn't happen in Earth. It doesn't happen. America never has a bunch of journalists sent over in a bus with American, French, Canadian, British, Five Eyes countries, and the entire Western media, including India and Japan nowadays, to go down and record fake war so that they can just fake rebel attack so they can justify another war of aggression. That doesn't happen. I'm totally kidding about that. It never happened ever in the history of the universe. But in the Star Wars one, they have all these like fake wars reporting so they can start a new one. And the Imperial Stormtrooper journalist is like using that as a really moving experience to show like how they learned about this new this like I've been lied to my whole life, and they're writing this great moving story of how they like went on this journey of being like such a raw empire, jingoistic Imperial Stormtrooper. Like every time I with great gusto feasted on the heads of Baby Yodas because they're all like demons from the Middle East. We call them towel heads. We call them like little baby green cat towel heads because I don't know, the Baby Yodas they wear towels on their head. And that whole 9/11, I'm sorry, the whole 3077 9/11, I mean somebody in the future, not the real 9/11. I was like, I hated those little Yodas. They're like little demons, right? And I feasted on their heads, their guts. I had a dartboard with a picture of Baby Yoda, and I was like throwing fucking darts at it, killing them all. I went into colonialism, murdered all the Baby Yodas right before we went into that war. And anyway, but then I went to the Middle East. I went to the Yoda planet, and I saw the way that like they were just trying to live their lives, and like we were like actually like intentionally creating fake war scenes so that we could just and having like getting a bunch of like ketchup and red paint from the Hollywood discount warehouse. I'm sorry, not Hollywood. It's the Stormtrooper Imperial propaganda facility. No relevance to the real Hollywood. And then you're taking a bunch of red paint and blood and throwing it all over the Stormtroopers. Nice white. It's to get the thing white. It's a lot of white out. The white. I'm telling you, I'm long whiteout. I'm long white primer. You know, like bleach white, cocaine white. I have stock in that because I'm telling you, it's a evergreen stock. It's never gonna go down. It's not a bubble. Like I swear to God. I mean, think of how much white shit is in the Empire. You don't know what to invest in. The blue chip stocks got you down. You know, you lost a bunch of money. You know, getting laid into the GameStop short sale, hedge fund takedown failure. I mean, like, just buy white paint. Go long, like white enamel. You know, white primer. You're gonna do well in the Empire in Star Wars. And so, anyways, so all this white paint, you got the red stuff thrown all over it, and then they put a bunch of smoke around. And I was like, this is like we're being lied into all these Imperial wars. We're being lied in the Star Wars Empire, into the Tatooine slaughter, into the invasion of Endor, into the invasion of Naboo, into all these other wars for the military contractors and the Imperial military-industrial complex. And so the Stormtrooper novelist is like, you know what? I'm gonna publish this novel, and then he goes to get it published, and then it gets shadow banned, deleted. The cover turned into a Harlequin romance thing, where he's like getting strung up by his nipples, which actually happened because then they actually tortured him, and that all gets hidden because there's no, you know, they have a little more law in the Star Wars Empire than the United States. The United States is just a very inefficient empire. But anyway, the Star Wars novelist gets to go get his heart checked out. 5 years later, turns out he ate too many Baby Yoda heads. He's feasting on like Wookiee steak. You know, he's eating the Wookiee steak leg. You know, he's like, you know, you got Woolly filet mignon, which you can afford to go to. Americans, you can't even afford to have a fucking steak. You want to go to Iron Chef Morimoto, you want to have an Emu Egg Benedict, and a fucking, you know, just not even an Angus steak. You just want the shittiest porterhouse. You want a fucking rump roast or some shit. You know, you want a shitty McDonald's burger. You're a millennial. You're like, maybe if I save up for 2 weeks of my GoFundMes, I can fucking go get a McDonald's burger. The Stormtroopers in the Empire, they're eating Wookiee steak all the time. You know, they're fat as fuck. They're fat as 50-year-old boomers eating a Burger King and a Haagen-Dazs every day at the mall. You know, so I mean, being an Imperial Stormtrooper, you might get a little bit too fat. You know, so you get a little overweight. It's not good for your heart. So the Stormtrooper novelist, right, who gets denied by the press because how are we supposed to start more Imperial wars if we don't lie everyone into the fucking wars? So the Imperial novelist, you know, who goes to Darth Vader General Hospital gets a free checkup, because again, Medicare for all, just like Germany. Germany's a good functioning empire, so he gets a free checkup, pays $2 for the heart. You know, when he has a heart attack, no out-of-pocket expenses, no deductible, no hidden fees. They don't go, oh, do you have Stormtrooper Premium? Do you have Captain Phasma Platinum or Gold Plan? They don't ask any of these questions, right? In the Star Wars Empire, much better than the American Empire. All right, treating its own people, right? The way the Star Wars Empire treats its own people, very, very good. Has a quadruple bypass, open heart surgery, incredibly expensive. Are you kidding me? That would cost like 5 American houses. That could put 6 American families into the street. Are you kidding me? All the grandpas or relatives all GoFundMe, try to collectively GoFundMe this fucking thing. Mortgaging, reverse mortgaging, second mortgaging their house. In the Empire, the Stormtrooper gets a heart attack, has to have a quadruple bypass. He's in the hospital for 14 days. Gets to keep his Stormtrooper apartment with a timeshare in Endor, like the nice beaches of, you know, another planet that they colonized, like, you know, Neo Waikiki in the tropical planet, right? Because it's all tropical. Because in Star Wars, the entire planet only has one climate zone. That's how it works. I mean, it's just how planets that aren't Earth work. I mean, it's either all frozen like Thoth, or it's all fucking tropical like that one in 8 and 9, or it's all fucking desert like fucking Tatooine. I mean, that's how it is. Or it's all city like that Ecumenopolis. But anyways, so the Stormtrooper goes to the all-tropical planet that's called Hawaii planet, because why not, right? And has a vacation every 2 weeks out of the year, sips his Mai Tais in his second, you know, he's not having too much sugar, so no extra, only Splenda in my Mai Tais, right? Only Splenda in my Mai Tai. No more chocolate-covered Baby Yoda heads that with full sugar. Only the stevia and maybe aspartame. Aspartame has too much chlorine though. We only use chlorine to kill the Wookiees. They're extra susceptible to sarin gas. Disrupts the nervous system. So, and I read in the New York Times and in the university system, our Stormtrooper University, medical experts and in the New York Times bestsellers. I was reading this article, which also included a lot of propaganda about why we should go kill some more, Ewokies and stuff. But in health stormtrooperhealth.com, I read that eating too much Wookiee legs is the high fat content. There's a new paleo stormtrooper diet, right? But I heard that a lot of the stormtroopers that went into the paleo diet, you're just eating Wookiee leg, Wookiee steak, like Wookiee, the fattiest part, like the Wookiee belly, maybe like a bowl full of jelly. You eat that fatty Wookiee belly, it's a the keto Wookiee diet, just eating keto Wookiee with peanut butter cups and New York style cheesecake. That's not too good for you. You gotta cut back on the Wookiee steak. We can just kill them all, take their stuff. We don't have to eat them. It's not good for your heart. It's not good for your blood pressure. So, cutting down on that. I'm cutting down on some chlorine. We use the chlorine to kill the Wookiees, right? Like in Agent Orange, the sarin gas that we dropped in Vietnam. I'm sorry. Keep forgetting. We're not talking about Earth. So, we use the Agent White because we only have one color in the Star Wars Empire. So, Agent White that we dropped on Space Vietnam, we had full of Wookiees. We only use chlorine to kill furry things that we want to eat and take all the resources, right? And so the chlorine that goes into the aspartame, which I hear that the chocolate covered the chocolate covered gun guns, the chocolate covered gun guns, they only come in aspartame and sweet and low sweetened sugar-free versions, and that chlorine actually is bad for your nervous system and your blood, your circulatory system. It just decreases your mental health and it increases the propensity for stroke, neurological disorders, brain fog. So you know what? I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great nowadays. I go to sleep early. I go to sleep at like 8 o'clock. I can do that because I don't have to shill for mega corporations and drive Uber for 6 hours after I come home from my first job. I only got one job in the Star Wars Empire. Imagine that. That's so great, right? So the Star Wars Empire can go to yoga class. They can go to CrossFit. They can have 10 hours of sleep to do their new wellness program that they have, because they have yoga. They have Star Wars, the Stormtrooper fitness, just like the United States. Like I said, America's the best, the best empire that's ever existed. So, the Stormtrooper yoga class. I'm gonna do my yoga. I'm meditating. I go and do arms dealing, and then I meditate. Not on the arms dealing, of course. It's like that would wreck your psyche, wouldn't it? I mean, just thinking about all the children you just murdered for your fucking ability to meditate. So anyway, I do the arms dealing and I kill all the people, and I have a Black Lives. I have a Ewok Lives Matter. Hashtag racial healing. I have a little kente cloth stormtrooper. I mean, they get a little upset because the kente cloth, it's got like red and green and all these other colors. It's a little off-brand. But I mean, they understand that we have to rebrand the Empire. So they're allowing color again. It's pretty cool in the Star Wars Empire, just like the United States. They allow color and Ewok Lives Matter. You got the T-shirt, the president, Emperor Palpatine's out there wearing like a black Ewok Lives Matter T-shirt. He's got like a, he's got like, half Gungan, half Wookiees come out on stage and be like the first Wookiee Ewok vice admiral of a ship. Everybody's like, their hearts are swelling with pride, and the Ewok goes off stage and gets murdered by the police in the Empire. I mean, that's too bad. But I mean, so now we have a little bit of color in the Star Wars Empire, so it's pretty good. And so, and when you go to your yoga class, back to my, I was talking about how I go to my my new wellness routine as a stormtrooper to make sure that I increase my, I want to see my stormtrooper grandchildren. I want to see my stormtrooper grandchildren. Like I want to see my 12-year-old kill his first Baby Yoda. That's an important milestone in a stormtrooper's life. I mean, we don't actually watch what we actually do. I mean, kill it in Call of Colonialism, not in real life. That would just be like. Not because I want to do that. I mean, it would just be kind of cruel to my children for them to actually kill someone. That would just. I feel like it would desensitize them, and they might actually learn about the consequences of It's kind of gruesome. It's kind of gruesome, right? No, but I want to see my child kill their first digitally constructed NPC in 1080p virtual reality with an Oculus Rift. I want to see my child kill the first Baby Yoda. Right? In a video game, obviously, it would be TOS violation. So, in order for me to live to the age of 70 to see my first grandchild turn 12 and kill the first Baby Yoda and call it colonialism, I need to make sure that I'm not eating any chlorine that we use to kill Wookiees with chemical weapons attacks. So, what I'm doing is cutting back on the chocolate-covered Gungan heart. and chocolate-covered gun hands. We chopped them off if they don't bring us back. We chopped them off when we went down to the space Congo. 15 million. What, you got all these hands sitting around in buckets. What are you gonna do with all these hands, right? You chop off all these new Congo hands, all these fucking gun. What are you gonna do? It was a waste of hands. Got all these bloody hands. You just wash them off. It's a little gross with all the blood. You rinse them off, deep fry them, chocolate covered. White chocolate covered. Even better in theme. You'll keep the Republican Party of the stormtroopers happy. The Democrats, they like all the new candy cloth, but I mean, you can bring the white chocolate covered gun hands to your next stormtrooper housewarming party. You have some nice banh mi sandwiches for you. You're selling stormtrooper real estate in it's a hot market. It's a hot market on Tatooine. We took it all. Now we settled it. We colonized it. Now you got a hot market, right? You're going to sell off New California on fucking Tatooine. Gentrify the shit out of that thing. You bring some banh mi. You bring some white chocolate covered gun hands. You gotta utilize the resources. Make efficient markets. Make an efficient use of your resources. Don't they teach you this in the Imperial training book? Aren't you an economist or something? What the fuck are you doing? Oh, that's right. You're a capitalist. So we only have capitalist economists. Oh, you're all idiots, right? Oh, did I say that? Anyways, they don't know anything about economics because it's a broken system. But anyways, so the stormtrooper is going for a yoga class and trying to keep their health so that they can live to see their grandchild kill their first virtual Ewok in Call of Colonialism. And so and I'm just really like, I feel like I need to cut down on the chlorine because we use it as a chemical weapon, and now Stormtrooper Monsanto sold off to Bayer and the chemical formula. They wanted to use all this new molecule that they made using chemical weapons for the military-industrial complex. The Stormtrooper, the space one, it's not like the actual United States would ever use like weapons developed for chemical war crime attacks and put them inside of your food. So it would never happen. Anyway, so the chlorine molecule that goes into the aspartame is not that good. So I don't eat the chocolate-covered guns anymore, and that will increase my longevity. Now, the good thing is the Stormtroopers in the Star Wars Empire, they can afford to get the more expensive stevia chocolate-covered Baby Yoda head to elongate their lifespan. Everyone else's lifespan is very short. You live in age 50, you're lucky they lived to age 12 in the real world as a Yoda. They used to live 9,000 years. Now they only live 9. But I mean, as a stormtrooper, you don't care about that, right? Because you're a German. Oh, sorry, you're a space colonialist, right? You don't care that the rest of the world's lifespan is decreasing while yours is going up. And the black people live 10 years less, poor people live 15 years less than the rich. I mean, it's not. You don't care. You don't care about that shit, right? But you're like, but we stormtrooper pilots and high frequency trading algorithm stormtroopers, right? We stormtrooper professors and lawyers and doctors and nurses and stormtrooper frackers. Oh, we don't frack in our backyard. We frack somewhere far away. We frack, America. Terrible. This is an inefficient empire. Why are you fracking in your own backyard? Did you go and frack in Canada? The Canadian Imperials they might not like that as much if you frack right under their town and then oil spills and their entire water supply is poisoned and then all the children die. But and it becomes uninhabitable. But I mean, you don't frack in your backyard. America's got so much fracking happening in your own backyard. This is inefficient use of your inefficient imperial. This is incompetent imperialism, as the national security advisor to Obama explicitly stated about the Trump-Rubio doctrine being of incompetent imperialism being a strong win in the left of Latin America. A strong win in the sails of the Latin American left. So again, America's incompetent stormtrooper, it's just not especially nowadays, not too good, right? Don't you frack someone else's backyard. Anyways, so they're fracking, but the stormtrooper frackers, the stormtrooper teachers, professors, media, marketing, art, directors, movie makers, game developers, the Call of Colonialism CEO, very well paid, good healthcare. All the workers, even the workers at the Call of Colonialism CEO, just like in Germany, good healthcare. Good benefits. They get dental. They get vision. They start going blind. Oh shit! I can't see. Is that a chocolate covered Baby Yoda or is that a foot of a fucking gun? Shit! I'm gonna live for the next 40 years of my life till I turn 120. Consuming the blood of 16-year-old virgins like Peter Thiel, billionaire from Silicon Valley. How am I gonna live for that long if I can't see what kind of fucking sugar covered Baby Yoda this is? oh shit. But they get vision, so they don't go blind, unlike Americans who go blind because they can't get vision. Also, they're eating all this garbage, right? So you can eat healthy, you can eat vegan, a lot of vegan stormtroopers in the Empire. You know, like, oh, this is a cruelty-free burger, you know? I mean, yeah, it's chopped up Wookiees and Ewoks, but I mean, those aren't dogs or cats, so it's okay. There's no animal, they're not a dog, a cat, a cow, or a horse. They're just like, they're like slaves. So it's okay, right? It's like, you know, so a lot of vegan stormtroopers, you can have a vegan stormtrooper, you know, they're getting the kale and quinoa salad, right? That they can afford. $20 salad, balsamic vinegar, handmade by artisanally enslaved Ewoks, right? Just a little Ewok with the little hands just squeezing out all the balsamic all out of, you don't squeeze balsamic, that's not how you make vinegar, but you know, they're just over there, like, you know, artisanally hand-picking the tomatoes and artisanally slave placing them into your little fucking vegan salad for $2 an hour. Omakal ice, send you back to your burnt out Endor. All the little Ewoks are just like, you know, and then you can watch, they even have little parties where the vegans come out and they trot all, the vegan stormtroopers come out all in white, watch the little Ewoks come out like in a nice grassy knoll, you know, with lots of hippie, you know, like, you know, peace signs and culturally appropriated indigenous headdresses, you know, and they just like dancing around, you know, being vegan and very ethical, and then just like, you know, oh, I'm so spiritual right now, and then they watch little Ewoks, right, that are paid $2 an hour, literally in shackles, place artisanally with their little arthritic hands, because they've been doing this for fucking 16 hours a day straight with no sleep. The little bits of kale in their salad, and then all the naked stormtroopers are all like naked and white, and their bodies are painted white. If they're black, they paint it white, because otherwise it'd be off-brand, right? And then they're just like, oh yeah, they do a little ayahuasca, right? And then, oh god, this is just like, my armor's getting cramped from all that arms dealing. I'm just sitting over there, you know, fucking shooting emails off to the head of Lockheed Martin. I'm sorry, the Taconium ion cannon sales accounting department. They're like, you know, God, this is so nice to do some ayahuasca. Just get all the arms dealing out of my head for a little bit, and then have some fucking kale salad artisanally made by artisanally enslaved, you know, Gungans and Ewoks, right? And anyways, and so that's how stormtroopers, they can stay healthy. You have a long, happy, healthy, productive life. And I'm gonna wrap this up because I've been saying this for a long time, but so that's why the Star Wars Empire is they have much better benefits. They have long life. They have fun parties. They have all the money to afford healthy, nutritious food that they want. They have a lot of green spaces, to frolic in and dance naked if they want, have sex, what they do all this thing. They can do drugs. As long as you're not a Wookiee or an Ewok, they won't get arrested and shot, kind of like black people in the United States. And like the stormtroopers, like, they have a good life. They have a house, they have families, have kids. They can grow to the age of 80 and see their grandkids, unlike Americans whose life expectancy is plummeting. Millennials are living even shorter lives than their parents, poorer lives. So stormtroopers can live to see they can afford to have children. So the American stormtroopers and the millennial and Gen Z generation of them, they're like, it's not a very good world, you know. Like, even some of the Gen X and Boomers, like, they're not, even them are losing their stormtrooper houses and their stormtrooper Medicare and their stormtrooper, you know, parks. They don't have a green space. You know, they can't even afford to go. You know, they can't even afford to go on vacation, right? It's all closed down because of COVID-19, right? But even before that, they couldn't afford to go, right? But in the Star Wars Empire, they have the stormtroopers can have vacations. They can go and they have houses. They have all the food, healthy food that they want. They can spend time with their family, you know? They can spend time with their family when they're not arms dealing and killing all the Ewoks, right? And they can just, like, you know, and they have like mental health support, you know? They get mental health support because, you know, it's not there. The pay, like Germany, like, you can get mental health, you can afford it, right? And also, you know, they're just smart. They outsource all the death and destruction to America. So it's a good plan. You don't want to stain your children's minds with all this gruesome death and war and bombs and shooting. So the stormtroopers and the Star Wars stormtroopers live much healthier, longer, happier lives. The inequality, there's a lot less billionaires there. Emperor Palpatine, you know, he's like a trillionaire, but everyone else, I mean, he doesn't care too much about money. He just like shooting he's like, Emperor Palpatine, he's kind of like, you know, he's just like shooting his lightning around. He's just like a pyro, he's just like a long requited, like, not breastfed enough wannabe pyrotechnician, right? And he's just like shooting his lightning around, right? And you know, he doesn't do most of the killing. He just sits around and shoots lightning around. gives stupid speeches. It stands up and has like giant holograms of himself, and then like talks in weird, very deep voices, and like puts on a lot of white makeup with very dark black circles on his eyes for some reason. And then, you know, it's not too bad. I mean, and you know, it's kind of weird, gross. He has these weird rituals where he goes to his planet where all of his, you know, the Sith people stand around and they have these weird Gregorian chanting going off, and it's weird. But I mean, there's not as many billionaires, you know, and so because there's less stormtrooper billionaires in the Empire of Star Wars, right? The pilots, they cap the pilot, Sarah, the admiral that gets his force choked, right? Like, you have failed me for the last time. You know, you don't piss off Vader. You won't piss off Vader, you might get killed. I mean, not much we can do about that. So, you know, your healthcare is pretty good, barring irritating Vader, right? So that's a little clause in your health insurance premium. It's like, do not irritate Vader, and you will live a long, healthy, happy life. Quadruple bypasses, stroke, heart attack, cancer, 5 years of chemotherapy, all covered. Don't piss off Vader though, or you you lose your Cadillac plan. Universal healthcare, don't piss off Vader. Universal healthcare with a little asterisk. Universal, but void if you piss off Vader. That's what it says. Anyways, so you get the good healthcare. You get, you know, and they cap the ion cannon operators on the Death Star. The people with the long black mask on the back kind of looks like they're you know, wearing like a weird plastic hockey mullet. That guy, that's one of the highest paid people in the Empire. It's a very important job. You're just pushing the Skywalker Ranch sound mixing board up to 10. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not this. It's a very powerful, very high technologically important thingy that they're pushing up, and there's nothing to. It's not the Skywalker Ranch mixing board next to the EQ settings for all the blasters and the John Williams score of violins, bassoons, and trumpets. No, that's not a sound mixing board. That's what it is. It is actually a sound mixing board. But anyways, the sound mixing board full throttle adjuster who shoots the ion cannon, that guy gets at most like $500,000 a year, at most. You know, it's kind of like a stevedore, the guy operating the gantry crane, taking a box full of Baby Yoda t-shirts in the United States, covered in the blood of dead Iraqis, Bolivians, and Asians, you know, sweatshop labor. The person operating the gantry crane on the Star Destroyer getting pretty good. The operator of the ion cannon getting pretty good. The lead atomic physicist making sure that the Star Destroyer's engines keep going, you know. Equivalent of the nuclear engineer on the submarine or the aircraft carrier. They're getting pretty good. You're talking about $400,000 a year. That's a lot of money. $400,000 a year. That's a lot of money, but still, nobody's making $180 billion in a year like Elon Musk made last year. Nobody's making 50, 60, 70 billion in a year after year like Jeff Bezos has made. Making 2.5 million times as much as the stormtroopers, right? Now, Jeff Bezos is a Star Destroyer pilot, right? He's a Star Destroyer pilot. He's one of the giant mega corporations of America's Star Destroyers, right? AWS works directly with the U.S. military. But he's making so much. He's making like 2.5 million times more than the Amazon warehouse workers, right? Whereas the person piloting in a Star Destroyer in Star Wars and the bigger corporations that build the Star Destroyers, you know, they're capping the salary at $500,000. Right? Because it's a more efficient way to run, and you don't want runaway capitalism making your capacity to run your empire inefficient, right? That's the incompetent imperialism of the United States. Because then they start what they start doing is they start, well, you know what we'll do? We'll shortchange. We'll just put like, we'll just put like little bits of RC car into this. Let's use cheap aluminum for the outside of this plane. I mean, yeah, it's the vacuum of space. I mean, it has huge amounts of pressure. You have to withstand going 5,000 miles at a very shallow angle. You're gonna have to withstand like multi-thousand degree temperatures and melting of your metals as you enter atmospheres. But I mean, we're a corporation now. We're not a competent empire. We're just gonna have corporate production of all of our fucking planes now, right? So they start putting aluminum foil on the outside of their Star Destroyers, and guess what? You try to enter an atmosphere to invade and take over. You try to drop your ground troops and shit on, and even your screamers, right? The interceptors, and all your interceptors just start burning up in the atmosphere, right? So that's why the Star Wars Empire they do socialism within You know, like Germany, like sock them country. They do socialism within the confines of the empire. Now, outside, it's just imperialism killing everyone. But inside, right, the Star Destroyer is not run with capitalism, right? The Star Destroyer captain and the nuclear engineer, they all get at max differential of 6.5 times more than the lowest paid worker. The worker cooperative Star Destroyers, very smart, very smart. Unlike the United States Empire, crashing all of its F-35s. So Star Destroyers don't crash. AT-AT walkers, they make them, you know, with like, you know, the legs, they got one leg's too tall, the other leg's too short, right? The storm AT-AT walkers trying to walk, they're like falling over. That's what happens when you put private sector AT-AT walkers out there. That's what's happening. You got all of the housing for Honolulu, like the military housing is falling apart. Private contractors, you got the houses are rotting. The rats, feces, and you know bugs and fleas and shit on the bodies of the little baby stormtroopers. I'm sorry, Marines and Air Force and Navy personnel. It's just disgraceful. I mean, treat your stormtroopers with. I mean, treat your U.S. military with fucking dignity. No, but they sell that to an Australian private contractor. U.S. money just doing dumb. They're like, well, we can make more money not rebuilding old houses, not bringing Terminix in and exterminating all the pests, not redoing the walls, not taking the asbestos out, not fixing these houses. We just leave it like a fucking slum in the goddamn Pearl Harbor. We support our troops though. Anyways, so that's what happens. So America's empire is falling apart because they gotta sock them empire. You gotta sock them empire. Socialism inside the Star Destroyer, inside the Death Star, inside the military base, inside the mall of the Death Star. That's like the mall in America, and that's like all the socialism inside the yoga studio, socialism inside the Chase Bank, socialism inside the white community and the non-internally colonized people, socialism in the empire, right? Outside the imperialism, right? Or at least some amount of sock them. Maybe not full socialism, maybe just some sock them, right? You don't want people to get too many ideas. You actual communism, socialism. I mean, people might think, well, maybe we should treat the Ewoks and the Gungans and the Wookiees with humanity. Or maybe we should stop eating their legs and stuff. You don't want full communism, and that's the problem. You can't let that. You gotta go. You have any Ewoks? They try to have like an Ewok Martin Luther King. They have like hundreds of thousands of them rallying or something. Shoot them in the fucking head. Blow their brain out. You get a bunch of Wookiees. You know, you can have some of them join the stormtrooper, but they ask for equality. They ask for equality. You're going after Fred Hampton, those fucking Wookiees. You know what I'm saying? You got a COINTELPRO. You got a neutral. You should pinpoint potential troublemakers and neutralize those Wookiees when they try to ask for equality. That's what you got to do. Because otherwise, you might stop invading the Wookiee planets and the Ewok planets and all these other fucking planets. And then what you're going to do? You got to have sock them. Sock them is the most effective empire. Sock them empire. That's what Star Wars empire actually has. I've seen it literally. It's like in their constitution that I have. I have it like right here in front of me. Like it's right on this balloon. You know, it's right there. Anyways. So that's why the United States, back to the main topic, that's why the United States, I can't understand the United States stormtroopers, I'm sorry, citizens with no health care, dying by 470,000 by COVID, can barely afford nutritious food, almost die when they go out to get the nutritious food because they're surrounded by people wearing no mask coughing in their face. 50% food insecure, college students living in their houses, hundreds of millions under housing being evicted. No, you can't even afford, you can't, no healthcare, no food, no housing, no security. Surrounded by idiocy, you being underpaid, right? You don't have any. There's not even some semblance of dignified life available to them. But they're still standing their empire. They're still like attacking people, trying to call out their empire. I mean, the empire's not even benefiting you that much. I mean, it's still benefiting you more than somebody in Iraq. At least you don't look up in the sky and worry if you're gonna die today because it's blue and the drones are gonna come rip your skull in half, and little bits of your nasal passage will end up on your wife's nostril, and then she'll smell your last booger before you pass away. You're not worried about that kind of problem in the Imperial Metropole. But you have so many other problems that aren't really, they're actually, the quality of life is like not, there are even poorer countries which America has imperialized. Like Vietnam, which has less malnutrition deaths, better access to quality food, fresh vegetables, better education. They have actual history and actual economics classes. They understand the world. They have better housing. You have 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartments for $460 in advanced cities with high-speed internet, electricity, very clean, very nice, well taken care of, not full of anomie, homelessness, people defecating in the streets, starving because they don't have homelessness, because that's not a problem that they have, because guess what? They take care of everybody. Much poorer countries that have been imperialized by the United States bombed to the Stone Age 50 years ago, and they're already doing better than you. Why are you still, in their socialist countries, why are you still fucking, and Luna is the number one person who is so frustrated and irritated, like Luna, as like, you know, the Earth Ewok, because, you know, a lot of the Ewok were designed after the Vietnamese. He's like, why are you still, like, I could understand the stormtroopers in Star Wars, right, killing the Ewoks, but then the Ewoks, right, in their villages and in their forests and stuff, right, you know, because all the imperialism, you bound them into the fucking forest. So they left the capitalist school so they could go into the communist school with Ho Chi Minh with a little bucket of rice and a handful a bucket of water to flush if they had a toilet. Maybe they didn't poop inside of a pond, but they went to the communist school in the jungle so that they could, because that education is incredibly important. But, you know, they went from that. I can understand, like, attacking the Ewoks, bombing the Ewoks in Star Wars Empire, coming back to your Stormtrooper 3-bedroom house with a good health care, with a nice Stormtrooper themed Thunderbird, nice car, a Stormtrooper Audi. Right, Stormtrooper healthcare. You can go to Stormtrooper book conferences and play Stormtrooper esports games with your son or your daughter or your non-binary child. You know, and you know you're gonna still have social problems. You have trans Stormtroopers, and they're not always immediately accepted. But I mean, economically, the Stormtroopers in the Star Wars Empire are doing very well. So you can see how they'd be like, actually, I like Emperor Palpatine. I like the Death Star. I like the Star Destroyers. I like our empire. I like our suburbs here. I like our malls. I like the white's a little weird, but I like the healthcare, the housing, the access to security, the food, a clean, healthy environment, and our dignity. We're doing work that is questionable, yes, but so is America. So is Germany. We benefit from colonialism, just like you. But we have a good life. We have good economic equality and some social democracy. We have like a Swedish style working class. Sweden also benefits from bringing a bunch of black children up to do all their harvesting of their vegetables, and American imperialism too. And you know, we have a Scandinavian empire. That's what it is, like Scandinavian social democracy with good social safety net empire. Why would we want to give that up to be like Ewoks? I can understand the Star Wars Empire kind of like saying that, but in 2021, when the American citizen is starving to death, poor, vastly underhoused, less than 20% own a house, and if you're renting, you are being evicted by the tens of millions. You're less housed, you're poorer, you have less food, you're working harder, longer hours for less pay. A lot of it, you know, Vietnamese in the Big Islander, 30 hours is full time here. Why, you know, if you're an American Stormtrooper, it's not. Why are you still supporting that empire? It's not doing you very solid. It should have been a sock them empire. Now Biden is not going to give you a sock them empire. Biden isn't going to turn around and give you a sock them. Biden is going to give you neo-feudal empire. That's what he's going to give you. Less overtly fascist empire, but it's not going to get any better for you. So why are you still standing it? That's what I don't get. You're not even benefiting from all the fucking chocolate-covered Baby Yoda heads. You know, you can't afford a chocolate-covered Baby Yoda head. Full sugar, Splenda, aspartame, Monsanto chlorine, or otherwise, you can't afford it. You know, that's why I don't understand about the Americans. It's just weird. You know, it's fucking weird. Well, I mean, again, to kind of wrap this up, it's now 9:14. It's a testament to the quality of the Emperor Palpatine news department. I'm sorry, the CIA and all of the news media and the education system of the United States, that they have so successfully brainwashed and turned all of their stormtroopers with Excel spreadsheet characteristics, education characteristics, university characteristics, New York Times bestseller characteristics, lawyer characteristics, art characteristics, marketing characteristics, accounting characteristics, Wall Street trading characteristics. All the stormtroopers of all characteristics are so deeply brainwashed, particularly the working class stormtroopers, that they actually think that they still have the best system in the world. They still, and even if some of them don't think that, they still think that they have absolutely no alternative. The best we can get is a Biden administration. You know, we can't do anything like mass organization, try to do a general strike, destroy the empire, destroy whiteness, decolonize, support indigenous people, like undo the entire empire, like kind of like face all of our sins and our wrongs and truly become revolutionary. I mean, at least unionize, and it's kind of like, no, at scale and do like big mass collective actions. Just not a lot of them do, but I would say less than half. Or most of the Americans are 76 million just straight voted for Trump. They're still there. They're not gone. They're still all there. Trump is like healthier. Trump is doing better now because he's not on Twitter. Trump's doctor actually said, one of Trump's close friends and his doctor, see, Trump is like that stormtrooper, right? Oh, I finally got off of Twitter, and now I'm like, my stormtrooper heart is much healthier because I'm like not pissed off and enraged all the time, getting into screaming matches with all these fucking, you know, sock them getting into a screaming match with a conservative getting screaming match, which a liberal leftist screaming at their boomer liberal and conservative parents. And I'm feeling much healthier, you know. So Trump is gonna live a long life because he's not on Twitter anymore, you know. This doesn't change the fact that America is full of inequality and it's gonna have more fascism, liberal, neoconservatism, and the whole thing is imperial. So it's like, and it's not even benefiting you. It's killing you. It's internally imperialized. It's doing to you what it's been doing to the outskirts of the empire in not as full a exterminatory fashion. You know, as the empire collapses, the fringe, what it does at its fringes comes home. I mean, that's a quote from Chris Hedges, who done a lot of reporting on the empire. I think he's a little off now because he hasn't been up to date on a lot of current events, but that's what it is happening. It is bringing the fringes, all the instability, the fascist coups, democratic undoing, deep inequality, centralization of power. These kind of dark figures being vomited up in a deep yawning void of failure, of loss of confidence of the people in every institution, from government to politics to even religion to everything, right? To the neoliberal project falling. You know, America is like eating itself. That's why I say the title of the stream is America is the cannibalizing neofeudal empire. You know, is cannibalizing itself. It's not benefiting you that much anymore. I would give you a different argument. If America was an empire, I'd be like, we must fight you, and you're doing so well from it. But I can't say that American empire is actually even benefiting its 99% of its people. It's benefiting 1% of its people, yes. It is benefiting to an extent all the people in all imperial countries, all of Western countries and their allies, yes. But it's not. It's really collapsing your ability to live faster and faster, and you're becoming more and more. And the biggest, the Vietnam is a great example because the Vietnam is an imperial. It is outside the empire. It is a socialist, indigenous, futurist country. I mean, talk about indigenous future. Vietnam is an indigenous future. It is a socialist future. It is the future, and it's outside the empire, and it is doing better than Americans. I mean, obviously, the COVID-19, you're talking about 35 deaths for a country of 100 million people, 1,000 times or more or less deaths. The economy growing at multiple, 2-3%. America plunging at 4%, right? And that's it's a great example because it's the country that was not that long ago under the imperial stormtrooper boot, right? And it's like. But Americans are still like, oh no, Vietnam is a backwards shithole country, and you want to live in socialism. There was that one. What was that thing? It was a great article. Somebody shared this thing. It was what the fuck was it? It was It was so good. It was like, let's make young people live in the kind of societies that they say that they want, and it was like socialism. Like a young person, oh, it's idiots. They want socialism, right? Where the fuck was it? There it is. This one. Here's an idea. I mean, this is CIA propaganda. This is the State Department imperial propaganda. But it's working because Americans are sharing it with each other. Here's an idea, a reality show where socialist college students are sent to a country that closely resembles their desired political system and left to survive for a few months. Right? And somebody's like, socialist, right? Now, obviously, a lot of leftists, right? I would say a lot of the Gen Z and young people, right? But think of your parents. Think of your right-wing brother, your stepbrother, your cousin, who's bragging about his 320-pound bench press, becoming a crypto bro, talking about how he was in Wall Street. I was in Wall Street bets before it was cool, like Nirvana before it was cool. and is also a super capitalist, right? Who is still in the QAnon, right? And thinks that COVID is a 5G conspiracy and taking my freedoms, right? Think about the people in the United States who actually fall for this propaganda, right? A reality show where socialist college students are sent to a country that closely resembles their desired political system and left to survive for a few months. That's going to work on a lot of stormtroopers. They're going to be like, you know, now you're going to be American Johnson, everybody watching this stream probably. And, you know, a lot of people are, you know, the leftists, you know, who haven't completely gone fucking mad because they have to pay $120,000 worth of rent this year and they don't know how to do it. So now they're all becoming, you know, Kamala stands or some shit. Talking about how the left is all a bunch of cancel culture and we have to undo that. And they're making $5,000 on Patreon, being a shitty washed up YouTube personality. I mean, aside from those shitty washed up YouTube personalities that all they can talk about is cancel culture and how indigenous people land back is ethno state, the actual left is okay. They're not going to buy this thing. But beyond that, think of boomers, think of Gen X, think of all the 76 million people that voted for Trump. They definitely are down with this. You know, the Communist Party of China was the number one thing. That's what they said. Gray zones, the gray zones, fuck his name. The gray zones, what's the lead guy? You know what I'm talking about, right? The gray zone reporter who was on the ground in DC during the Capitol riots on January 6th said there wasn't really a unifying ideology across. There were some were like white nationalists, Proud Boys, Boogaloo. Some of them were just like pissed off military veterans, just Trump supporter. Kind of like, you know, a lot of them are wealthier, taking private jets, people with like 3 houses, country club with their golf clubs, whacking leftists with their golf club kind of people, with a swastika on the golf club, 1488, you know, QAnon crowd for sure, QAnon Chauvin. But he said, you know, and so he said, the Gray Zone journalist said that the unifying ideology was actually the Communist Party of China being an enemy, being the number one enemy. So it was a QAnon shaman, 1488, Trump, just some random military personnel, right? Right-wing military personnel, conservatives. You know, what unified them all was the CCP, right? So the socialism, right, and the against socialism, right, and communism by extension. Now, obviously, we don't. You can talk about the China, but I mean, what unites them is that's the number one military, U.S. military propaganda right now. They need to start over China. Biden's kind of flippy-flopping on that. I think they're kind of not sure if they can pull that off. But the whatever it is, what matters is what the Americans think, and what they think is it's a socialist, communist country, right? That's, you know, and we have to fight it. Now, obviously, Vietnam has a lot more. Vietnam, I would say, has more of those actual socialist characteristics, right? In a lot of ways. Although, you know, that's another discussion. But what unites the United States in the boomer, Gen X, liberal and conservative spheres is this fear of the socialist countries, the communist countries, right? The parts of America that continue to remain diehard American, they think that racism is over. They still have this deep fear, right? Cold War mentality, right? And that's a lot of and that kind of standing, that kind of stuff is a lot of what perpetuates the suffering of the United States, right? And convincing people that with socialism is when everybody starves to death and Stalin, Marx kill 100 trillion people, and there's famines and everybody, no iPhone. You got socialism, no iPhone, and government does big stuff. You know, as Richard Wolff would say, socialism was when the government does stuff, and communism was when they do a whole lot of stuff. And that's a joke, but that's what most Americans think. Still, they're gonna think more of that. You know why? Because fortunately, the CIA is very good at owning Twitter, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Instagram with the billions of dollars that they're throwing out there, and they all have ruling class solidarity with each other. They're gonna shove this down the throats of every American they can. It's working on some millennials. The ones who have like children and they have to make a huge rent because they got into a mortgage and then they lost all their GoFundMe because whatever happened. There's people that unfortunately kind of tearing themselves apart. You look inside the Bernie Sanders campaign, the kind of like more social democrat, they don't know what the fuck to do with themselves, a lot of them, you know. And most of them are the ones that were more like hoping that they could get through with some kind of reformist thing, but that's not panning out, right? Bernie's gone. Bernie's out of the pit. Bernie's just Mr. Mittens. I don't talk, I just mittens. And then I stand Joe Biden's going back on $15 an hour, going back on Medicare for all, going back on the $1,400, which is going back on a $2,000 promise. I'm just sitting around on fucking mittens. What is he doing? Nothing. So they're all like losing their minds, and some of them are just like diving out. So, and you know, I understand some of those. You know, I don't like it, but I understand. You know, if you're 35, if you're 37 years old, you don't got 3 houses like your boomer parents. You got no money. You're alienated from them. You know, you're unhealthy. You're partially disabled. You're disabled, less abled. You're like, what am I gonna? I still gotta pay these bills. I can't collect enough disability to pay these bills. I got a mortgage. I got the rent. I got kids. I can't. My parents are all dead. They lost their house. Mom, dad died in the COVID pandemic. I gotta make money. What am I gonna do? Right? They don't have the option. They don't have a lot of options that some other people do. When you're in a material life circumstance where you need to pay $4,000 a month, and there are no options for you to pay the $4,000 a month. You make shitty decisions. That's part of the point of Neofeud, right? That's the point. Carl Carbon does shitty things. Gets children and parents stolen from them, but it's like it's your family or it's their family. Make a choice. The police get involved, but it's your job and then your family and your food and your house, or somebody else is gonna go to jail. They're already, it's you make shitty decisions. So I don't want to say that to like get out. It's not get out of leftist prison free card for all the people who have like betrayed their ideas as whoever they are. But you know, I do understand the material condition. Like we have a luxury, but we have the not every indie game developer is gonna make enough money. We don't make tons of money. We make technically still poverty wages a year, less than 20,000 a year maybe. For a family of 4, that's poverty, right? Now we live in the big island of Hawaii where we have more socialism, actual indigenous, partially automated indigenous anarcho-socialism. Kasal Kuleana, Aloha, and Apono. You know, we're an imperialized, like we're the Ewoks and as in the metaphor, we're like the Ewoks and we're like the Wookiee and the other people before them, the indigenous peoples of planets that the Empire showed up and killed, right? Take all their stuff. But like the Vietnamese, the Big Island Hawaiians are starting to do better. You know, we still need the support of everybody who supports us on Patreon. Again, thanks to all the Patreon patrons. Everybody who bought Neofeud on sale or not on sale, donated. Some people donated $50 while they bought it on itch. Thank you so much. We still need that money because we still have to pay in the global capitalist system that we still live. We don't have a stateless classes money in the society, so we still need electricity. It costs hundreds of dollars a month. The internet, the house falling apart. We just had to go repair another house that our friend Kama is going to be staying in. Another Native Hawaiian, right? Another indigenous Ewok. Native Hawaiian who's going to be staying in the studio over here we have no landlords, we have no bosses. But in order to do what we do, we do need to we do need the revenue to continue to do this praxis that we do. But at the same time, you know, it's like a lot of Americans though, you know, but similarly, like, you know, the Hawaiians are doing better now. We have less COVID, less homelessness. On the Big Island, in Oahu, it's much worse, right? More imperialized. That's why I say it's more colonialism, more imperialism on Oahu. That's where I'm from. That's what Neofeud is about, right? It's everybody. It's basically like not much better than that picture you just saw on that slideshow, right? And so those people in those places in Honolulu, Seattle, Los Angeles, New York City, rural areas, medium-sized towns in the United States, they're starting to do worse. And this is like, so it is like high time. It really behooves the people in the United States to really start questioning more and harder and faster, you know, their empire as a stormtrooper, which you are. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, you know, I say that as a half stormtrooper. I was trained in one of the elite stormtrooper training facilities. It's a Harvard feeder school, $20,000 a year, across from Obama school. His alma mater. It has the children of a CEO of a Fortune 500 company that happens to do a lot of auctioning. Goes to trying to, you know. Anyways, these we all have some of this in us. I'm not saying this like you are a bad person because you're American and you literally are a stormtrooper and you, by extension, went around and shot the world's Ewoks. You blew away 12-year-olds. You're a bad human being and you're going to hell. If you believe in it. If you don't believe in it, you're going to a small conservative town that's super homophobic, because that's hell for a lot of leftists. But anyways, so you with lots of Christians, really belligerent ones that are in your face all day, handing out tracts. That's your hell. Because you are a stormtrooper, you're gonna no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, you know, but you will participate. That's your country, that's your empire. That's you live there, you're on indigenous, you're on stolen land. The whole thing, America is a settler colonial project. And your empire's not even helping you that much. It's fucking you over. It's not like the German or the space Star Wars empire that gives you good healthcare, gives you a house, gives you the ability to have a family if you want one, gives you decent space. You know, I think the Star Wars empire, even if you need a wheelchair, they'll give you a wheelchair to get into the Star Destroyer. They're not as ableist as the American empire, which, I mean, it sounds that's pretty terrible. When you're not as, you know, the Star Wars empire is less ableist than you. It's pretty terrible. Anyway, so the you know, because they're a sock them empire. They're like Germany, it's a sock them empire, right? Very efficient, because, you know, somebody who is less abled could still operate the ion cannon thruster, right? You can still kill 5 million people in with one, you know, 35, you know, fusions, like you know, an entire sun's worth of energy captured by a Dyson sphere. You can still, with one, you're a paraplegic. You know, you miss it. You can't operate your legs. You still, you know, you can operate that. You can operate that lever on the Skywalker Ranch master mixing sound level controller. You know, I'm sorry. You can operate the Star Destroyer up the on switch. So the Star Wars Empire is less ableist. If you're in the American Empire, they're like, you're in a wheelchair. Fuck you. Star Wars in the American Empire, they're like, oh, you have some, you know, neurological, you're neurotypical, you know, you don't have the spoons today. What are spoons? What are you talking about? Get out of here. You're fired for being disabled, right? That's the American Empire. We signed this NDA. You can't talk about how we're ableist. If you do, we're gonna come find you and you just be killed. You know, hunted down with lawyers. You know, the fucking people who break the legs of people who don't pay rent, that are all contracted out to the mobs and whatever military industrial complex, washed up. You know, Uber for soldiers. You know, soldier, like SOLDR, soldier, right? You can hire a soldier, come out, and just break the legs of somebody, right? Who doesn't pay rent. I don't know if they actually have that. Don't start that company if you're in Silicon Valley. Don't be a piece of shit. Don't start that science fictional dystopia company. But America is a more ableist empire, you know, than the Star Wars empire. It's really terrible, you know. I mean, I can't say that that's. I don't know if I have video evidence of that. Obviously, this is all, you know, this is all hypothetical, but. You understand the point. The empire of the United States is not benefiting you anymore. It did. The boomers and the Gen X, they got a good deal. They got a pretty good deal, right? Killing all their Iraqi, going into Iran, going into America's backyard, overthrowing Chile, dropping them out of helicopters, taking 100,000 people in a stadium and gunning them all down, having a pop star come out and having all the leftists and the indigenous people and then gunning them all down. You know, Allende's murder, you know, that benefited the boomers a lot. All the wars in the Middle East, the Vietnam War, you know, I mean, just, you know, a lot of them, they did suffer in the Vietnam War. That didn't help a lot of people, but the propagation of the war machine did, right? The American military industrial complex and its hegemony, which it needs to fight wars to maintain its planetary hegemony and the resource extraction from the rest of the 7 billion people, right? It did. Even the Vietnam War, in a weird backwards way, it did. A lot of American troops died. A lot of people didn't get healthcare. A lot of people had to go. But in the long term, it did benefit the boomers, because if they didn't at least try to stop all the socialism around the world that they could stop, it slowed the rate of the loss of the capacity for the American empire to extract resources, money, treasure, slaves, servants, $3 an hour Hispanic kale and tomato placers for yoga instructors. It reduced America's capacity to extract colonial wealth from the rest of the world by fighting the Vietnam War. So it's kind of like, you know, so it can simultaneously hurt a lot of people. It caused disability and maltreatment of people coming back from the Vietnam War, but also empower the people who are sitting around, you know, eating too much Haagen-Dazs and Burger King, taking their rock songs and putting them over, you know, giant quadruple bypass heart attack burgers called Whoppers. Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Oh, were we trying to do a revolution? Oh, what? Some people got shot in the university one time. That's too hard. I'm gonna go eat a lot of fucking burgers now and be a stormtrooper in the marketing department, right? So it did. The wars, every war in the United States for the boomers and the Gen Xers at least benefited them. It did. Damn imperial. It still technically benefits the millennial and Gen Z Americans, right? Because you aren't operating on an equal playing field to a lot of places in Bangladesh, in Africa, right? You aren't, your life expectancy is higher than Iraq. It still benefits you some, but a lot less, you know? And a lot less relative to other parts of Europe, and a lot less relative to even former colonies like Vietnam, former colonies like Cuba, former colonies like a lot of ASEAN countries, East Asian countries, which are doing better than you, you know? Now, Europe doesn't really, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, they don't really count because they're all part of the imperial complex. They're all just, they're little America, little puppets. Australia, I think was it Carter or was it Nixon that literally called Australia America's little cute little sheriff, right? America whips the ass of Australia and they go, oh shit, and then they go yell and scream at some Asian culture and, you know, imperialize the indigenous people a little harder. You know, it's what the ASPI is doing, taking $100 million from Northrop Grumman and Raytheon, right? So Australia doesn't really count. You know, they're doing a little better on COVID. You know, they're a little bit better healthcare, but they're all going in America's direction. Europe also doing less good than it was, not as fast, but still going in America. You look at a map of COVID, America's doing the absolute worst. Britain is like right there. It's like 10 shithole. Europe is like a 7 shithole. Canada's like a 7 or 6 shithole. Australia, New Zealand are like a 6 or a 6 shithole. And then you have Vietnam is like a actually good place, like 1, and then Cuba's like a 1, and then China is like a 1 or 2 or 3. You know, I mean, by the COVID numbers at least, you look at it, right? And then and a lot of other factors as well. And all these other places are all falling into an America style world. Because why? But part of why they're falling into this trap, not this trap, they're falling into, it's not and part of it, and Danny Haifang brings this important point up in one of the recent podcasts that I got to go back and listen to. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but he writes for Black Agenda Report, and he had an important point, which is that what did he say? Let me get the capacity for the American empire. Let me see if I get that specific quote. Where was it? The Democrat. Oh, not the Democrat. Yeah. Is it shit. Yeah. There is no amount of consolidation of power that the ruling class can do, which will stop its system from digging the grave for itself that it has been digging for so many decades now. And another thing was that, and another point of that was, it was a Danny Haifang report was that, like, the capacity for the Western empires, the United States and its allies, to extract inequitably wealth from the rest of the world, the global South, Africa, Latin America, Asia, Middle East, its capacity to extract wealth, with the greatest power being the United States, and all these satellites of Europe, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and to an extent India, Japan have been working with the United States. Their capacity to extract wealth from the rest of the world is rapidly decreasing. Their hegemony is dropping. They can't get the sanctions done. China's power, as a world's power, whatever you think about it, it is rapidly growing. The Chinese, we have to accept, have been historically a colonized people as well. Millions of them suffered and died under American attacks in the Opium Wars, the Shanghaiing, taking their people, bringing them to America, bringing them to Canada, using them as slave labor, like the black people of Africa, to build the East Coast. Slightly different, but using them as cheap, vastly underplayed, hyper exploited labor. These have been historically colonized people, and that trend is reversing now. Whatever you think about those people, that is reversing, and all the other countries, Europe, Britain just got a huge deal with China, the European Union. Part of why they backed off of Iran's sanction is because they knew that they could not. China wanted to do business with Iran around United States sanctions, which kill children, women, and disabled people by the thousands or hundreds of thousands. And the European Union could not go. And part of the reason why is because American hegemony and the capacity for it to extract wealth from the rest of the world is falling, and the rising power of former colonies. China is a U.S. colony. It has been a U.S. British colony. 10 million people died alone in World War II in the backing of the United States and its side of the world. They're still treated like shit in the United States. Why is everybody eating Asian people's noodles and then you can recognize black slavery, but the Asian yellow peril, the Chinese Exclusion Act, the Japanese internment, all the actual attacks on Asians generally, but in particular the Chinese, especially right now with the Wuhan flu, the COVID is a 5G as conspiracy, all the the 2020 election rhetoric, which is all about, oh, we gotta ban this and we gotta ban that. All of that is coming back. The complete failure of the United States on COVID-19 compared to China and Vietnam, and not just China, it's China, Vietnam, Southeast Asian countries, African countries, their allies, Cuba, Latin America. They're still struggling, but I mean, these are the global Africa, which is, guess what? 600 million people to 800 million people were plunged into poverty between the 1970 and 2000. The height of America, of Western imperialism in Africa, the height, 600 million pushed into poverty. You thought Africa was poor. They were already poor before that because of hundreds of years of colonialism, and then they were pushed into further poverty. 600 million in that time period between 2004 and the present. The 600 million people were lifted out of poverty, not with the support of the United States, not with the help of the West, not with the help of Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and all their fucking kente cloth and all their little pretty words. It was, well, you can think about who was doing a lot of activity there, and which obviously, did help these other places that were actually helping there. But you know what it actually did? It actually benefited, at least it benefited both parties. When the West, America and Europe and its allies go and do a colonialism, it crushes, destroys, and impoverishes one party, the colony, and it empowers the other. It de-developed my friend Saber, who is a Afrofuturist and African person from the UK, has great videos on the de-development of Africa, which is for hundreds of years under Western imperialism, and the capacity for the West, which includes Europe, to extract wealth from Africa because of its capacity to lift itself up with the help of other countries in the world, means what? Means that the capacity for Europe to have cheap coltan, copper, lithium, America's iPhones to have cheap Bolivian lithium, Germany's metals and resources, and France's oil to go into all of its cars and its aircraft, right? France still has colonies all over West Africa. Senegal, Macron goes to Senegal like he's the goddamn king of it, talking about how much he's gonna collect. You still got, if you're a francophone country in Africa, you still pay colonial tax to France. Why? In 2021, you still pay colonial tax. That's what it's called. Oh, I'm sorry, Europe doesn't have colonies? No, are you fucking kidding me? But that's why Europe is going to continue to slide with America, with Canada, because they don't know how to work again, non-imperially. Which means what? As equals, economically, culturally, not being fucking racist, and being pretend not racist is not the same thing as being not racist, right? The Democratic Party is pretend not racist. Germany is pretend not racist. It's still fucking racist as fuck. That's why all the Muslims are second-class citizens. Same thing for France. Oh, well, we're not like black slavery in America. You're fucking still racist. Why are all you locking all these people up in your borders, all your fringes? Right? Why are you assisting? Why are you assisting America in all of its wars? Why do you have 35,000 troops in? The Germans. Well, we have to do it because America. Well, I mean, why is America fucking still? If you fucking stand up to America, we can't stand up to America. How are we gonna get all our fucking lithium for the gigafactory in Germany? Where he's killing all the Bolivians. How are we gonna do that? I don't know, Germany, you fucking cowards. Anyways, but Germany's sock-dem empire is also going to fall when its capacity to extract the wealth of the rest of the world starts to decrease. You're not going to pay $35 to your pencil factory workers, right? When the cheap labor and the cheap materials and inputs coming from all these other places starts getting more expensive because people are treating, and not to say that there's something wrong with the German workers, but I mean, its government and its banks, the Bundesbank, the ECB, the European Central Bank, which operate in tandem with the U.S. Empire, the London Stock Exchange, which is the world's #1 cesspool for fucking financial fraud. All of these little pockets that continue to extract wealth, the WTO, the IMF, the World Bank, which is the neo-colonial, right? Those things are going to, have that continued process of neocolonialism, colonialism, and all its stripes, and the ongoing racism is, is going to be ending. Which is, and in the United States, this is, but let's get out of Europe for a little bit. In Europe, it's still benefiting. So Europe is kind of like, well, let's keep the colonialism going because we're still at $40, and I'm still, the European, you can have like a $40 an hour, $60 an hour German stormtrooper novelist, right? Going to Oktoberfest, having healthcare, and remember, think about the stormtrooper who could live to the age of 85, seeing his 12-year-old play Call of Colonialism and kill some baby Yodas, right? The Germans have that, but the Americans don't. So, the Americans should really be the first ones to be like, fuck this shit, Why is it all the fucking, but it's, why is it the fascists overthrowing the goddamn capital, at least temporarily, Anyways, all right. So, that's pretty good. News never heard, but we'll check them out. Yeah, highly recommend checking out New Moves. A lot of retro says pretty much. News had an interesting take on how anti-China propaganda contributes to U.S. COVID deaths because of the denial of how social work. Yeah, see, this is an important take. Like, I'll briefly show this video. This is a good channel. I recommend it. Like, News is like, it's like very funny. He's a Asian Canadian. Like, he's Chinese of ancestry from Canada, right? And he's Chinese of ancestry from Canada, and he makes videos. He lives in China now. He's been living there for a while, and he just makes like funny videos about just random subjects. But a lot of it is trying to like debunk a lot of Western imperial propaganda sort of stuff, right? But through comedy. He's kind of like sardonic, sarcastic, sometimes self-deprecating, very very deadpan, thought slime style Canadian Toronto humor. But like, like I just as a Chinese person in China discussing and just showing video, like it's that style of humor. But it's like, here's me going through, oh my god, it's a CCP authoritarian death camp, oh my god. But it's like people just walking around with like, in a crowded CrossFit gym, in the train station with almost no COVID-19, like less than 10 cases for 1 billion people for a whole year now. It's almost been a year. They've locked COVID down. Their economy going back, and he's like, "Oh my god, these are all reanimated zombies." It's pretty fucking funny. So it's very funny. But if you want to, and this is an important point. Like his video recently, I gotta go watch it. But the latest video is called how Western propaganda defeated the West. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe when I'm done with this, you go, it's only 12 minutes. How the new Cold War against China, how Western propaganda defeated the West, right? See, and it's like, this is what I'm saying. It's like, the things that a lot of Americans and the Westerners believe, right? That Vietnam is a shithole country. A lot of false things about China that like, oh, they're lying about their numbers. They're doing so terrible. The policies and locking down, wearing masks, these are oppressive, authoritarian. We shouldn't do them, right? That's what's always called up again, right? Think of the people, think of your family, think of your friends, the people that you're really frustrated with on Facebook. You're getting in arguments and they're like, wearing a mask is stopping my freedoms. It's muzzling myself. The Chinese are authoritarian and they muzzle themselves. That's why they wear masks, because they listen to the CCP authoritarian state. And whatever the CCP is, right? It's like the science says wear masks, right? But the propaganda is the socialism bad, communism bad, authoritarian communist socialist bad over there, right? Wearing masks is bad. It's locking up your freedom. Social distancing is limiting your freedom. I don't want to go to the club. I don't want to go to my range. I don't want to go to my golf club. I don't want to go to my birthday party. I want to go to my Christmas. I want to go to my Super Bowl, Super Sunday. I want to eat a bunch of guacamole and yell and scream, "Go Raiders!" I don't know if they're playing this year, but "Go Raiders!" and spit all of my guacamole and COVID-filled saliva all of my friends. I'm free to eat guacamole and shoot COVID into my friend's face. The Chinese are authoritarian, weak, SJW beta cuck if you're some Reddit incel type, they're a bunch of weak, authoritarian, just bootlicking, they used to, they're bootlicking authoritarian, cowards, keeping their heads down, under the authoritarian government of China. And that's why we're better. And they're lying on the numbers. It's all fake. And that's, and you know, I mean, have you looked at the fucking numbers? Right? Congratulations to the United States on 463,000 deaths. You know, congratulations on 463 fucking thousand deaths for a country of 330 million people. And I mean, this is my favorite part of the day because I get to. This is how wrong everyone is. Since March 8th, there are 40 cases for an entire year. Look at this. For a country with 4 times the U.S. population, they have had 1728. You know, they've had like, you know, they have 4 times the U.S. population. They have thousands of times less cases, and they have like, it's like 1,000 times less total deaths. I mean, the total deaths is 4,636. 1 person out of every 700 people have died in the United States. Right? Let's just do 1.4 billion divided by 1,400,000,000 divided by the total Chinese deaths is 4,600, right? China has 1 death for every 304,000 people, and their economy is back on track and growing at a faster rate than it was before. Everything is back to normal. For the last year, 900 million people traveled for the Golden Week. Do you see a spike? 900 million people traveled in the week of October, first week of October. It's a huge. You're talking about. You know how like, oh my God, we travel. We're all gonna get in planes and we're all gonna get COVID. But guess what? It's so under control in China that 2/3 of the entire population got on planes and trains, mostly high speed, very green, fast electric trains. With the most advanced environmental friendly material, because they have 50,000 kilometers of fucking train. America takes 20 years to build 10 kilometers train. China in 50 years builds fucking 50,000 kilometers. Anyways, everyone got on trains and visited. 900 million. They're going to, you know, people from Shenzhen going to Urumqi and Urumqi, going to Guangzhou going to Beijing, etc. Because they have 56 different ethnic regions, and they actually have different ethnicities, and they celebrate them and they empower them, and they actually enjoy and respect their differences and the tourism benefits to people, as opposed to, I don't know, locking up all the minorities in cages and trying to kill all the indigenous people, and then fucking showing fossil fuel pipelines and then hosing them down with 55 degree Celsius temperature, negative 55 degrees Celsius temperatures with hoses at the DAPL, and having dogs bite their bodies. And Anyway, in Golden Week, do you see a spike? Do you see it? No. 900 million people traveled in planes and in trains, social distancing, but they have contact testing and tracing, and everyone wears masks. Everyone follows the rules, not because like they so boot looking and they're just a bunch of weak-willed, you know, they love their authoritarian leaders, blah blah blah. America's so authoritarian, don't fucking kidding me? Everybody listens to whatever Donald Trump says. Everybody fucking does whatever QAnon does. Everybody looks the same and acts the same. They all with their American flag, with their stupid American food and the stupid American clothes. And people are like, I love being white. White culture is the best. I'm a Remington rifle in my suburb that looks exactly the same as the other suburb. You go to Chicago, you go to Seattle, you go to fucking LA, you go to any city and town in America, it looks the fucking same as the other one. What? All this freedom for what? So you can have a McDonald's, a Chase Bank, and a yoga studio on every fucking block? Are you kidding me? Well, you can travel within China and you can see some differences because they have some actual fucking freedom to be who they are. They're called autonomous zones. But anyway, do you see a spike? No, what you see is 17 cases, right? 17 cases, 15. Somebody sneezes at a Super Bowl party and there's 15 cases in the United States in one house that's rotting and falling apart and everybody's dying from fucking cancer that they can't treat, right? Like, like literally, I mean, this is a good example, right? It is this propaganda that is being spread internally to the United States, telling you that socialism is bad, all these other countries terrible, and they're not perfect countries. These countries like China, not perfect, you know. And all the people, you know, it's got a lot of problems because it's the #1 target for U.S. war propaganda right now. You know, Vietnam, take your pick. You don't like that one, choose another one. Vietnam, you got, Cuba. These other countries, Cuba's not, they're not trying to start a bit war of pigs.
You know, it's not the target of U.S. military-industrial complex right now. So you can talk Cuba, harder to talk about in the mid 20th century, but all these countries really you can't talk about them to Americans and Canadians and most Westerners, really, even Vietnam. With a handful of people who have watched some Luna Oi videos, are you kidding me? Nobody knows shit about Vietnam, unfortunately. I mean, in the West, right? If you go, think of it this way: go into the biggest, widest Facebook. Imagine your grandparents and your parents. You're white, you're American, grandparents and parents. If you were to put out Vietnam is doing an amazing job, and they're such a great country, and they have 16 times. Like, I want to live in Vietnam, right? What's going to be the first reaction of most of your friends and family? That's the propaganda. You know what it's going to be. Well, that's like kind of like a backwards, like it's like kind of like authoritarian country, and like it's like not very developed. You know, if they're being nice, if otherwise, be like, oh, it's a bunch of yellow monkeys. You know, there's something really racist. Your conservative family just be like, why would you go to that disgusting socialist country when you could be in such a free, full opportunity-filled country where you could be a millionaire in America? Why would you go to a crappy, backward, sick Asian country like that? We bombed it into oblivion, right? That's the nice response is just like, I don't know shit about Vietnam. If the honest response, right, of all your liberal family, be like, I don't know shit about Vietnam. I read that it's like full of there's no freedom there. There's no freedom. You can't talk about political views. You can't be a Christian there. I heard that because I had family that went on a mission trip and they got kicked out. It's not because they're a bunch of fucking CIA-backed fucking plans trying to spread fascism. I don't know, like in all the other countries that America tries to spread fascism to overthrow their government. Quietly and anti-government, anti-socialist propaganda to foment. I mean, it works. It works. Have you ever seen the revolutions around? Have you seen the fascist-backed coups around the world? It works. You ever seen Bolivia? You ever seen what they do? You know, and they do the propaganda there, and they do it in the United States too. So, like, anyway, long story short, the Western propaganda, right, does defeat the West. I mean, it hurts you. I guess what I say. As a native Hawaiian in the decolonized parts of Hawaii, I will not be hurt by the United States continuing to not understand what Hawaiian culture is. I mean, right now, at this point, and not understand Vietnam, and not understand what socialism is, not understand what your plutocracy is, not understanding the difference between a plutocracy and some of the other parts of the world that don't have it, not understanding what imperialism is. I won't be hurt by it. Like, we will keep living in a 3-bedroom house that's not new, with 2 bathrooms, where we can raise children, and I have the free time to teach Hawaiian language, kuleana, teach my children game design, and not be stressed out all the time like I was in Honolulu, in Imperial America, right? Colonized parts of Hawaii. It will not impact my life. It doesn't impact Luna's life. Luna will continue to have universal health care. Luna, when she gets sick, won't worry. If she breaks a leg, if Luna has, I don't know if my heart, a little scared. Luna won't have to pay anything when she goes in to get, if she needs quadruple bypass, she'll get it, and then she won't have to pay anything. Luna doesn't have to worry about COVID-19 because Vietnam has basically no cases and they contain it, if there is any cases. Luna is not going to be impacted by your Western propaganda. You are. You know? Like, Luna will keep having, EJ and Luna will keep, you know, not making tons of money, but being able to live in a nice apartment that they can pay for themselves without having to beg all the time. You know, they do raise money for other people. Most of, you know, and they don't need money. They need super chat, and they need this, and you know, they do need that. But they're not like, oh, we're gonna be homeless, right? Oh shit, I was looking at someone. Oh my god, I'm getting kicked out. I'm gonna be homeless. I'm getting evicted. I'm gonna be homeless. Go for me, please. I can't. My medical bills are through the roof. I reverse mortgage my house, and I just need some money. I'm living in my brother's basement, and I just need some money from a medical bill, please. Luna is never gonna have to do that. Luna and EJ they're not gonna have to go fund me their medical bills. They're not gonna worry and then not fall through, and then they're gonna know what they be couch surfing for years. They're not gonna couch surf. They're not gonna eat horrible unpoisoned food, right? Because they can't afford healthy, nutritious food because they live in a food desert or it's just too expensive, right? They're not gonna be over there go, oh please, give me a can of pork and beans. Luna and EJ will be able to afford healthy, nutritious food. They're not gonna be surrounded by fascists. there's no threat of fascism in Vietnam. Unlike you know, you're in America, right? They're not going to be surrounded by a bunch of racists. The cops are not going to come and kill them. Even though Luna's not white, because that's not a thing that happens there. There was 3 shootings, and then 2 of them were cops shooting each other, and there's 0 police murders. But anyway, they're not going to be worried about being evicted. 90% of people have their own quarter acre of land, at least in Vietnam. So anyway, long story short, the Western propaganda, your imperial propaganda, and these beliefs, right, hurt Americans, hurt Canadians, hurt all Westerners, Europeans, Australians, New Zealand. They hurt you, actually, and especially Americans more. But I mean, Canadians too. SSLive, you know, has whole videos about all my crappy job at a pizzeria, my crappy job at Tim Hortons, when I was abused, berated, paid terribly. I dealt with an abscess in my mouth. I was in pain for 18 months because I couldn't get dental. You know what they have down there? They have affordable dental in Vietnam. You know, I wouldn't be going around limping with an abscess, working at a full-time job at Tim Hortons, at these shitty, you know, that's in Canada. So Western and propaganda hurts Canada, hurts America, right? Anyway, so I think I've made that point. So I do recommend, I do recommend you follow the New Moves channel, because you can learn a lot of things. You learn a lot of things. You're not going to learn this stuff. Oh, also the one I was talking about, the German journalist, the journalist who went and this is a great video about how the story in that like Star Wars Empire spiel skit that I just improv'd. This is a German journalist who went to Iraq to do reporting, went to school for reporting, and watched American, French, European, all the Western media go on a bus into an area where there was no war, 30 miles from the war zone, pour a bunch of gasoline on already burnt cars and tanks, entirely staged, set fire to it, and pretend like they're in a war zone, pretending to duck like they're in the war zone, reporting on the violence caused by some extremists to support more. We need more troops, we need more money, we need more bombs, we need more missiles, right? So that's a good video. And this is from the newest channel. Anyways, Chinese guy. Anyway, and there's a bunch of like TikToks, and then the one Chinese fake life, the communist China exposed, is fucking hilarious. I do recommend that one. It's pretty funny. And it's like you know, like it's so terrible. Everybody's like doing better than you. They're like walking around, going to birthday parties, going to their CrossFit, going to their school, having in-person university, going on dates, going to the restaurant, not worried about getting sick, going to movie theaters. Chinese movie industry has by far surpassed Hollywood for the first time, because American industry is closed forever. Ain't gonna release on Netflix now. But anyways, the movies are all not that good anyway. I just watched a Korean movie. Holly and I watched this Korean movie called Space Sweepers. Space Sweepers is the best science fiction movie. It's not an American movie. It's a fucking Korean movie. That like most realistic depiction of space colonization in the near future under a super rich white Elon Musk crossed with Mark Zuckerberg, basically making space utopia. It's like Elysium crossed with The Expanse, trying to put everyone on Mars, but like having this horrible eugenics project, and all the black, brown, Hispanic, white, and global South people are all like sweeping all the space junk, working for terrible wages, and under a space eugenicist who has billionaire and millionaires, mostly white, going to Mars and to have a perfect utopian civilization. We have to pay for citizenship. It's like the best actual science fiction I've ever seen in movies for like years. And it's not American. It's not in the West. It's a fucking Korean show. I mean, Space Sweep. And I was like, this is just embarrassing. You can't even do the movies right. I mean, America, your imperialism is not only hurting your healthcare, your housing, your food, it's also hurting your like ability to be entertained and have like edifying, interesting science fiction. I was like, holy shit, this is like... Also, and the Chinese put $4.5 million into it, you know? And like, yeah, of course, you know, but it's not... There's no Chinese main character, though. They're like, oh, it's a CCP propaganda. No, it's like... They put some money in because this is a good project, you know? And, you know... Now, it does have, you know, a super rich white guy, right? Becoming a space neo-feudal lord with a private orbital space resort for the super rich, with gold-gated resorts and golfing for the handful of citizens, and everyone else, the people of color, the poor, the working class, they all, you know, basically like Uber space junk collecting for $10 and getting fined for $7,000. Hey, you made $2,000 and you're getting fined for $5,000 for hitting an antenna or something, right? And everybody's getting nickel and dime. They're all fighting. The main characters are like in poverty, you know, fighting over like who gets to keep the last $200 that they didn't get fined away, working for Uber spaceship, you know, minimum wage space jobs, and then a handful of the richest, mostly white, and actually it's white in India. India is being very close to the United States right now, but rich white and very rich handfuls of people living in these beautiful Elysium-like resorts, and this main guy is like trying to make genocide all of Earth because he believes that, you know, it's America. The human race is bad. The human race is bad. Not like I'm a fucking asshole, right? The human people are bad. It's like, it's so spot on. Like there's lines like, are we bad because we're poor? Are we bad people because we're poor? Or are we poor because we're like bad human beings? We're just like poor character and we're just lazy and evil, right? And then like there's an actually interesting discussion, actual relevant topics relevant to 2021 in the future. It kind of partially dystopian, but also it has a positive ending, right? Actually being dealt with and addressed. All I see in America is like I see like, oh, let's look at the great American past. Let's look at let's take all of our IP and trot them out from fucking Bewitched to, 50s cartoons, and let's take Transformers. Let's roll out a fucking 90s sitcoms and Jerry Seinfeld. Let's make America. Let's make the world America again. That's what I see it coming. I don't see any forward-looking, present-addressing science fiction, but Asia apparently doing it for you. I mean, it was kind of like, I'm glad that they are. You know, I'm gonna be on a panel this week, Tuesday. It's called Made. It's called Made in Asia. What's it called? I forget. I don't know if it's gonna be broadcast, but if it is, I'll share it. But it's a college. It's for a university class. It's a panel on Asian and Pacific peoples in games from the developer's perspective. This is on a series. This is the developer's perspective. It's for like actual college level coursework. I think I'm not exactly sure what it is. It's like a series that is being put out. One of them was, but it's like how the Asians relate to games differently than Western societies. How they relate and how their labor has been exploited. How they've been portrayed. Right. One of the people in it is going to be somebody who authored a book called The Race Card. And it deals with how soft power through the gaming and the media, and by extension the movie, film, and television industries have not just been a method for people to be entertained, and even in games to empower the players, but as a form of soft power for top-down political interests. I mean, basically it's a short form for the CIA and imperialism to project certain agendas. And I bring this up often when I say billionaire philanthropist arms dealer playboy that's what Iron Man is, right? It's about American billionaires, arms dealers, and philanthropy, which is about kente cloth, feudalism, and imperialism, right? And so I'm going to be talking about that this week. So I mean, this is another aside. I'm sorry, I don't have like a link and a date because I'm not sure. I gotta go look this up and then I'll tweet it out if it's like something. I can't remember if it's actually a live thing, right? Or if it's like recorded and for the university. But anyway. I will be on a panel. It should be very interesting, but it's dealing with these other peoples. And remember, America's existence has largely been the colonialism of Asia. That's a bit like, particularly from the 1800s to the mid 1900s, it's been about the colonization of Asia. The Roosevelts made their fortunes in hurting and exploiting millions of Chinese people and other Asian peoples, the Filipinos, right? The United States called itself, when the United States openly called itself an empire, the United States Empire, the Empire State became that when America went into the Philippines and Asia with the Roosevelts, saying we are like the British, the French, the Spanish, and it was largely in the Asian areas. That's why the laborers, right, they're brought over to West. Again, I already talked about that, so I won't talk about it again. But long story short, that's like so we're gonna be talking about that as well in this next series. And I will don't forget to follow. I mean, I'll be doing that shortly, so you can get updated on if that becomes a public thing, because I'm not sure at this particular second. Anyways, Adam Kiawe, Manolo Kamp, Hawaiian history, educator, great Kanaka to follow for current events history. Yeah. Do follow Adam Kiawe as well if you want to learn about Hawaiian, specifically Hawaiian related stuff. Adam has a lot. I learned a lot following Adam Kiawe, because he has a lot of like he's studying history like at university level, and like every day like puts out some like history of what has something that's events happened in Hawaii. The fact that Hawaiians, when America, before the American Civil War, before America, technically abolished slavery, it didn't. It just turned it into prison slavery, and racism definitely didn't go. Black people could come to Hawaii before the American Civil War and be considered free. The second they entered Hawaii, when they entered the country of Hawaii, they were free people, and their birth certificates say born in Africa. Country was described as Africa on a birth certificate, like people's birth certificate. From Africa, came to America and became slave. When they came in Hawaii, they were now citizens of Hawaii, full, equal citizens, right? In the time when America was still had slaves. So anyway, that's some history that I learned about Hawaii from Adam. So that's why you should definitely follow Adam if you want to learn about that stuff. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna get done because I do a lot of streaming and I gotta save some of my voice. So that's pretty good for now. I'm gonna play the trailer real quick because I gotta grab a quick drink. I feel like I should do that right now. So I'm gonna play the quick trailer. Remember, Neofeud is on sale for the next little bit. So do check it out. And everything we do here is supported. Again, like we are gonna have our friend, my friend, longtime friend, Kama, who is a native Hawaiian from Oahu. I went to school with him for a long time, and he's having a lot of trouble. He is basically without a house in Honolulu, Hawaii. His housing situation is very dire, and so we have space, and so we're gonna be Kama will be joining the Silver Spook Worker Cooperative and commune, where we have no landlords and no bosses, and we also work and we make anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, mostly cyberpunk adventure games. We also make Kalo. We also raise children. We also Holly also does other work and carrying work, as well as modding work, which is digital carrying work in a sense, and also important work, and also mods for other streams like KNix. And so Kama will be joining us very soon. And so all the sales of Neofeud does go to support continued maintenance of the house, our bodies, the electricity, the internet, the food, the cars that we need to go to get we still need them to go get the food and transportation. So every sale of Neofeud does help us out with all of that ongoing work that we do here. And also, you get an awesome cyberpunk adventure game. Thanks a lot. Also, shout out to Della and Lilith Fane on Twitch for streaming Neofeud today. They will be streaming it again, and that's on Twitch. They played it live today, and I think they're going to be playing it again and finishing it sometime soon. And now I'm going to play the trailer real quick, and then I'll be right back.
The Illuminati created us. They wanted to build a god with their own hands, and instead they created us.
Just because I'm made of silicone and aluminium, I must be doing something wrong. That's machine stereotyping, that is.
That's reality, that is. Machines are second-class citizens.
Humans are sentient persons by default, ma'am. They have personhood by heredity.
There are thousands upon thousands of overqualified slum dwellers. You are my peon. Don't you get it?
This wasn't a job. It was always just an excommunication sentence.
We're pawns in a feud bigger than we can imagine. Turn the cogs of the machine before Leviathan grinds you up and swallows you and yours.
We don't get to choose our hand, comrade. Prince, peon, rich, poor, human, robot.
I invented the crux of the royal's power, the secret to consciousness, our existence itself, the meaning of life.
I'm the $6 billion baller, not some troubled youth.
You are my greatest creation of all.
God's had to build my own family.
smash all of the crowns and throw the gold shards down to the people. I will be the iconoclast queen.
But who makes you queen anyway? You? You in whose army, princess? You in whose army?
Anyways, so that's Neofeud. It is on sale on Steam and on itch.io. It is on sale, yeah, on Steam. If you have a second to leave even a very short review, it is greatly appreciated, as that helps us to increase the likelihood that the game will be showing up in the algorithm when people are browsing on Steam and on the more like this in their discovery feed. Thanks to Lens09. Even if you say like great game, nice original cyberpunk storyline, I mean, even just something short is like, it's like a comment in the algorithm. It just helps the Steam algorithm to suggest the game more often, which even if it's just like, it's like 20, 30 more times a day, that over time pays off in terms of the total number of people that discover it is the total number of people that will ultimately buy it. So it really does help. If you have a moment, and if you like the game, if you didn't like the game, I am very sorry. It will do better with Neofeud 2. Neofeud is also on itch.io. It's a game that is DRM free on itch.io. If you don't like digital rights management, you don't like installing Steam, you can get Neofeud for Windows, Mac, and Linux on Steam. On itch.io. If you don't have Windows for whatever reason. Also, you can support us at patreon.com/neofeud, which is a site that you can have recurring donations. I also have the StreamYards link, of course, over here if you want to give a one-time donation at streamlabs.com/silverspook. And there's I think that's a pretty small cut when you do it that way. So some people ask, like, what's the most direct way to give you money? That's the Streamlabs one, probably. Anyways, but Patreon, you can also help us out at Silverspook Games, at octodon.social. You can follow us at decentralized, non-capitalist controlled, federated social media platform that is Mastodon. I highly recommend, if you are any kind of activist, leftist, doing anything that capitalist, imperialists wouldn't like, highly recommend getting Mastodon. Because it's a lot harder. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's much harder for them to control people's access to you and your friends' access. You have access to your friends through this kind of platform. And also, they don't delete indigenous people's tweets about their having pipelines shoved through their land. They don't delete people's accounts for saying Breonna Taylor's name, which is what happened by 3,000 people's deactivated accounts about 6 months ago. So I really recommend Mastodon as at least a backup. The reach is not as big though as Twitter, and so that's why I said we're all half Stormtrooper, right? That's kind of the major theme. That was the most Star Wars stream I ever did, I think, possibly. But and as we're all half Stormtrooper and trying to decolonize ourselves and de-imperialize our brains, but we still need to use the satellites of the Death Star, and that's why we have a Twitter at Silverspook Guy. You can also follow at Silverspook Games, which is mostly game related stuff. And I forgot how to spell my own name. That's why I spelled it SILVR. I'm just joking. It's just I ran out of vowels. But anyways, you can also follow. And here's one of the scenes from Neofeud 2. So Neofeud 2 is taking me longer because it's a kind of higher resolution, higher. I'm trying to do a little bit higher resolution, higher graphical quality, and so it takes a little bit longer when I'm doing that. But it is coming as soon as humanly possible, until I become transhuman cyborg with 25 clones, Silverspooks in VATS in the Silverspook Clone Worker Cooperative, because we'll all be equal partners. I want to be the CEO clone. Cloning is only a problem when you have one trying to be the number one, but everyone else is equal. You know, it's okay. Gets a little weird though when there's 25 Silverspooks and there's like one Holly. That might be a little weird. Anyways, I'm not writing science fiction right now. I'm supposed to be closing the stream. So you can also follow Terminus Cyberstar. I was writing science fiction for like the last 3 hours before this stream though. We're working on Neofeud 2.
Terminus Cyberstar is a low-poly cyberpunk immersive sim in the vein of late 90s PC games like Deus Ex 1 and System Shock 2. It's a cyberpunk game that I'm the kind of lead designer, content designer on. I wrote the kind of game design document for this game. It's a game being worked on by a handful of artists, writers, programmers, musicians, etc. And it's a game that is like Cyberpunk 2077 genre. Obviously not as high resolution, although depends on how buggy in your system. Cyberstar, as far as I know, hasn't melted down PS4s, completely broken entire systems, or just completely wonked out, as far as I know. Unlike Cyberpunk 2077, where you got a bug every 5 seconds, or 2 seconds, or a minute, or something like that. Terminus Cyberstar is going to be coming within the next couple months, probably. That's what we're aiming for. February, March is what Aaron has said. That's the producer. But we'll see. I think it seems like they're getting close to wrapping up. When I look at the Discord updates, it looks like they're getting pretty close. So look out for that. You can follow that at Terminus C on Twitter. You can also, don't forget to join the Silver Spook. I forgot to do the command. If you become a Patreon patron, I haven't added this yet, but I'm going to be adding very shortly access to the Discord if you become a Patreon patron. I'm gonna try to do that tonight. So if you become a Patreon patron tonight, I'm gonna be changing it so like people who you get access to the Discord when you become a Patreon patron. Like a lot of people are doing it now. So if you become a Patreon Silver Spook, patreon.com/neofeud patron, you get access to the Silver Spook Discord. The Terminus Cyberstar Discord is on this Twitter site. And so we want to do that just because, like, it's kind of like it's getting bigger, so we don't want it kind of to be super open. Also, like, it's kind of like you want to join. I mean, it's $1, $2, right? I mean, you want to join and be part of the community, right? So, but I haven't added that specifically to Patreon. But if you become a Patreon patron tonight, like, send me a message. I will get you the Discord link. So any level Patreon is what I'm planning to do. It's not on the Patreon either, but that's what we're planning to roll out. So anyway, I just wanted to make that update. I just remembered because I'm doing this wrap up, but I'll do that tonight. We'll try to fix that up. Yeah. So now, I gotta thank the Patreon patrons so far. Oh, I gotta add one more. Give me 1 second. I gotta add we got one new person here. Gotta add the new person here. DNAME, the name Paname. The name Paname is an interesting name. The name Paname, I have to add to this list there. The name Paname. It's an interesting name. Almost as interesting as Turlington Beastcoat. Or maybe they're tied. I don't know what a Turlington or a Beastcoat is. I feel like I need to know this. Is that a Britishism? I don't know. But anyways, I'm not sure what that is. Dave, James Wheaton, Mingzilla, Mr. Brewer, Belinda Taylor, Kiara Capybara, Christian T, Industrial Robot, Johnny C, Alana Montero, Sean Collin, Danny Carroll, Eric Wright, JR, Morgan Swampcroft, The Reaver, Tyler Tuthill, Bright 55, Matthew Stone, Exalted, Roy Gilberhouse, Alfonso Delazar, Combo Breaker, Lark Miro, Skylar Seth, Tim, Computers X, Ralph, Tiny Oka, Trotter, Extremely on the left, and Ted, Turlington, Beastcoat, and the name Bename. Thanks to all the patrons. It is greatly appreciated. Thanks. Oh, yeah, how's it going? Alana, thanks for dropping. Alana Matera is one of our patrons. Thanks for your continued support. Thanks for dropping in there. Thanks, Mr. Red, Miss Danger, everyone else who jumped in there. And obviously Holly Argent for the mod work and always important support that we always get. Until next time, keep your mirror shades polished. Be excellent to each other. Come on. The U.S. Empire. Come on, Stormtrooper. You're lumping around there. Your arm falling off. The Stormtrooper house. The house is falling apart. You don't even can't afford it. You gotta go. 50% of your Stormtrooper college professors are food insecure. The Stormtrooper, American Star Spangled Stormtrooper Empire, is not helping you out anymore. Stop standing it, okay? Stop jumping into Hawaiian and Vietnamese people's threads and sea lining in there going, actually, socialism's bad and America's doing great. Biden's got no problems. Please stop doing that, okay? It's just like, it's not for Hawaiian and Vietnamese sake, for your sake, So, anyway, take it easy. Have a good